pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dustin, you can kick it off.
All right, well, thanks, Council, for coming. This will be my fourth budget session. To kind of go over, I will say this probably was the hardest one when it comes to revenue and expenses that I've experienced in my time here. I also want to thank John. This is probably the easiest budget, as in being able to have some very helping hands from the finance director. John was able to do a lot of this year, which I appreciate, in support of the entire his team, and especially John. So just to kind of start this off, this year we have a recommended budget of, and this is the general fund, recommended budget of $47,529,908 in revenue and $47,501,532 in expenses, for a surplus of $28,376. I do want to state, though, that this does include 0 capital projects inside the general fund. Now, that does not mean no capital for the entire city. We do have a lot of capital in our motor pool. We've got a lot of capital in our streets, our sewers, our water lines. We do have a lot of capital at our library, as well as in the DLEF, which we're very fortunate enough to have. So we do have some capital in the police. But for the overall general fund this year, there has been no other capital earmarked for the general fund. Now, we're going to talk about some of these projects. I did send a list out to council. We'll talk about some of those projects and what they mean and how we can maybe institute them into the budget. But that'll be utilizing some of our fund balance and our surplus that we have. The overall citywide budget this year, revenues is $132,740,710, with expenses $139,174,542. That is a deficit of $6,433,832. The main deficit in that and the main increase in expenses is mostly in your road funds. Our road fund in our major and our local started to get a pretty good fund balance in there. As council had recommended, is trying to spend that down at the end of our last audit. And as council is well aware, we have some very significant projects, mainly along Jefferson. The Jefferson Road reconstruction, which is part of the SMSD project, where they will be sharing some of that cost. They'll be taking some of the costs. We will be paying for some of the costs as well. As well as council understands that north of 11 Mile, especially really between 11 Mile and 12 Mile, we are part of the TIP program, and we will be doing repairs north of 11 Mile. We have asked the county if we could speed that up. The county did give us permission for that. The county is going out to bid for that, but I think we have also earmarked in here utilizing more than just our portion of the TIP so we can get more done. As council are aware, this winter was really hard on some of our roads.
Just clarify, county or state?
County, I'm sorry, state.
State, thank you. Okay.
So, as council is well aware, our funding for the, this winter was very hard on our roads. We had a lot of potholes, and a lot of those potholes as well are south of 9 Mile as well. So we are looking to do a large street section program south of Jefferson, south of 9 Mile on Jefferson, utilizing a lot of those fund balances in our street projects to get a lot of the street projects done this year. So that was a large mark. We also, as council is aware, we've already approved our water meter projects. So that is going to be ramping up and going. So our water meter project, we have a lot of water lines that are in our budgets. So there is a lot of infrastructure outside of the general fund in our streets, water, sewer, sanitary. We're also, when we get to the sanitary budget, you'll see as well, we have a lot of increases and projects that we're doing in our sanitary and our storm sewers as well. Outside of that, I think we could, if there's any questions just on the overview, if not, you guys have the schedule in front of you. We'll start with the court and work our way down. Is there any just generalized questions on the budget?
Mr. Carey.
Thank you. Yeah, just in the memo that was provided, one of the things under key revenue changes under general fund, there's one very significant change that's missing.
Okay.
I'd have to tell you.
Oh, sorry.
What's missing?
Key changes under general fund.
So we had a taxing, the tax change for police and fire.
Oh, police and fire. Yep.
So could you add that, please?
Yes, we will add that.
Anyone else? Move to the court.
Right. So if I like to call the court up.
Set the-
17.
Okay. I remember.
Oh, with the smaller binder.
Not about that. I'm not kidding.
Good evening.
Evening.
Can everyone hear me on this?
Yes.
Okay, just want to make sure. So the court has presented a fiscally responsible status quo budget for the most part. We do have some expenditures concentrated on the building as it begins to age a little bit, and some repairs, replacement, and maintenance to keep it up to date. As you will see in our capital outlay requests, safety and security remain a priority for us at the court. We are planning to submit some grant requests to MMRMA for 2 capital outlay items. The capital outlay items are directed toward the building fund, and both are a generator and metal detector for the front doors. Some technology improvements with our servers, workstations, and email security to bring our systems up to date with Michigan State Police and lean standards, as we are audited just randomly at this point. They announce it about a month before they come. And we've done very well with our audits thus far. So we just want to make sure that we keep that technology, the servers, the workstations, the email on the right pace. Expenditure increases, under services in our expenditure budget, there was a slight increase to remain compliant with the IT and security measures. And again, we are applying for grants for both. Interpreter services is a really big one. Over the past 2 years, it's more than doubled in expenses. And most recently, there was legislation passed that we can no longer collect on criminal and traffic cases for reimbursement. So previously, we were able to, depending on someone's income level, we were able to order them to pay for part or some or all of the interpreter costs, and that's no longer available. Most recently, there's pending legislation to also do the same for civil cases. So I'm anticipating that most likely will pass as well. Let's see here. We do, just looking at the overall numbers at the court, while the ticket numbers may be down, civil cases have increased and often require more attention from the clerks just due to the nature of the cases. We've increased our tax garnishment case selection by 500 cases annually. So we currently have a writ for 7,000 tax garnishment cases for this coming year. We continue to offer hybrid solutions for hearings, and we recently trained on a new jury program that was offered by circuit court, free of charge to the district courts, to deliver a more consistent county-wide solution for jury management. It's actually very nice and much more efficient for us, so it's nice to track the jury trials this way. And then also, we're using services that we've already had, but kind of exploring with our phone system. We are adding more text messaging options. Both the probation officers and the clerk are able to text message just from their desk. If that's just a one-off, we're missing fingerprints on someone, please, grab your fingerprints before you come in at the PD. It's not as easy anymore since they're not located right across the street. The probation officers reminding people to bring maybe counseling information or whatnot to their appointment that day. So it's really nice that we don't have to go in and change a whole system just to shoot them a text message. It's worked out very nicely. And I'll let you talk more about drug court since you know more about that.
Well, we continue to enjoy success with our drug and alcohol courts. It's a hybrid court that we have. We've been certified once again this past year. I'm actually going to be a representative from St. Clair Shore speaking on a panel at the conference next week in Lansing. We volunteered to become a mentor court for new courts that are just starting up. So it's been a tremendous program, great feedback from the participants. Every day's a struggle, but it's definitely worth it. And that would summarize the drug court program.
And the grant did increase this year, a little over $30,000, which is nice because they are recognizing that we're growing. I think currently when we checked this morning, we had 18 participants, and it's the 10th full year,
Great.
so, yeah,
Fantastic.
yeah. Any questions?
Yep, Mr. Ravello?
Yep, thank you. Mark, last year, when we were up here, I remember asking you about like the collections. Is that still the hardest part for your office?
It's more routine than it has been in years past because we do a lot of the garnishments. So that's kind of on autopilot right now. As the caseload increases, we're able to function more efficiently in getting the garnishments in, so that helps. But again, you can't get blood out of a rock. When you have hard economic times for people, unfortunately, you're not on their priority list. Food and rent is. So it's a balancing act, but we take great care both with the staff and the judges in trying to make collection attempts feasible for the participants as well. In my experience over the past 25 years, if you're charging them $1 million, you're not going to get a dime. If you're reasonable in how you assess your fines and costs, you give them payment plans, most people comply, or at least give it their all.
Yeah,
Some people
but-
just can't.
A nice payment plan.
Yeah.
And the second question I wanted to ask you is, and I guess, I don't know how much it's going to affect your courtroom, but we recently, I think a meeting ago, we made kratom.
Thank you.
Okay, I was going to have you comment on
Thank you.
that. Is
One of the
that-
most difficult things with our drug court was the use of kratom, because we can't test for it. It's a substitute for opioids, and it was running rampant. We knew they were violating, it was and the other thing, and I know that a lot of the stores, like Home Depot, have addressed this, but huffing is a horrible problem. And, sniffing paint or the aerosol cans, and you can't test for it. So it's really frustrating in trying to get these people into recovery and maintain their recovery when you have substance like this so readily available. So thank you.
So you do run across it?
Thank you.
I wasn't
Absolutely.
sure how much you did.
Absolutely. And it's a precluded substance in our testing programs, whether you're on probation or in our drug and alcohol courts.
Thank you, Mark.
That's good. Ms. Rusi?
Thank you. No question, just a comment. Every year, we just want to say, I guess, how proud, I feel, and I think I could hopefully speak for all of us of the services you guys provide across the street. You're always ahead of the game on technology, on accessibility, on just making things as optimally user-friendly, both for not only the attorneys who have to work in front of you guys, but also the people being subjected to the services too. It might not always be a great circumstance that led them there, but they have good experiences once you're in that building. And I know through things like the drug court, you're also going above and beyond to helping people get back on their feet and hopefully on the path to success. So thank you for always setting a good example for the rest of the courts in the area. I know, people look at you guys at what you're doing and want to, implement it over there too. So thank you for always setting the tone and giving us a service we can be proud of, and that is having some great results too.
Mr. Vitale?
Yeah, I want to go back to the first point that you made about services and not being able to charge for interpreters, translators, I'm assuming.
Yes.
And that is just grouped under services. So
Yeah.
I'm going to assume this number I'm looking at is not only the cost of interpret.
Correct, yes. So there's numerous items under services. I can pull it out real quick, just to see exactly what we have. Those are just the ones I mentioned that increase the most.
Okay.
The two that I mentioned, the IT services and the interpreter services are where it's at. We have jury or witness fees, first aid safety, shredding and purge for our retention program. We have judicial services, we have tax garnishment expense. Accurant is what we use to look up social security numbers for the tax garnishments. That's a service we use that we have to pay for, unfortunately.
Well, to the point that I was getting to, because this is a change in state law,
Yes.
I would like to know how much more money we're having to spend on interpreters now that essentially the state took away from our ability to collect.
Judge, can you do the mic?
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, and actually, Mr. Vitale, what had happened is, traditionally, we didn't have much expenses at all for interpreters. For some reason, over the course of the past 5 or 6 years, we've had a lot more Spanish interpreters that we've had to accommodate. And originally, for the past few years, the state has reimbursed us for that. There hasn't been a ton, but they have reimbursed us for it. In the past, maybe 6 months or so, maybe even a year, I haven't seen as many expenses for interpreter services. So it fluctuates for reasons
Do we have that
unbeknownst to me.
available as a separate line item, or?
Yeah, she can get that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would like to know that.
Currently, it exceeds $20,000. It's about 22.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and
You mean, hold on, let me just, so this current fiscal year, you're saying it?
22.
This would be 22,000, we got a couple months left, but somewhere in that 22,000, okay.
Oh, this fiscal year, no. The current fiscal year, no. I'm expecting it to be about 22 next fiscal year. This fiscal year, it's around 15.
Okay.
Or
thank you.
more,
There you go.
okay,
depending
and
on
has
how many.
that's grown steadily?
The year prior, I think we were at 7,000. So each year, it continues to grow quite a bit.
Okay. I think that would be an interesting cost, but borne by taxpayers ultimately. But I would like to know. So I would appreciate if you could just maybe give me a few years back and
Actual
show the
numbers,
trend.
yep, absolutely.
Thank you.
Are you keeping those notes, Gus, or
And I
someone
know
here?
the clerk's office up there keeps it running tally
Okay,
too.
okay. Yes,
Yep, I just have one thing. So this is going to be about the court here, but this is going to be about all of the budgets. One of the big changes that you'll see in your budget this year compared to the past is the fringe benefits category. They used to be all lumped into just one, and you would see the big number of, oh, fringe benefits was $1 million. So now you kind of get a breakdown of how much of that is healthcare, what is your defined benefit contributions, defined contributions, your retiree health savings accounts, your HSA contributions. So it's broken down so you can see that, and this really helps, one, with our office, so when John's putting it through, we can calculate, hey, here's our medical, here's what our retiree health savings accounts are, and this also kind of gives you guys an idea to see, utilizing the court here as kind of our first one that's up here, health, life, and dental insurance has went up astronomically as we've seen healthcare, it just continues to go up and up. So it kind of gives you a better detail, so now you see where that's correlated, but this will be for all the budgets, not just the court. They're just first, so I just wanted to bring that up.
and I know you're cognizant, but any building goes through the building fund, right? I mean, you're cognizant to make sure that whatever we can get, okay. I know you know, I just thought I'd say it. I know it. Mr. Vitale?
Just one other thing I'll mention since you're in front of us. Maybe put a few bucks in the landscape fund, because I think your shrubs are starting to block out the name of the judge.
Yeah, we had those cut last year also. They just keep going.
Oh, okay. I
I'll
noticed
put
that
it
the
on
other
my
day.
list.
The other day when I was there.
That's building fund.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
thank you.
Chief, Deputy Chief?
Be your very next tab, 18.
Yep.
It's a big seat now.
Police.
All right, good evening, Mayor and Council. I've missed the last couple of these meetings over the years due to vacations, but I'm back. And Deputy Chief McAllister's joining me tonight to speak about the police budget. This is an exciting year. It's the city's 75th anniversary. It's the police department's 100th anniversary. And our new police station is on track to be completed in July of this year. We've got some special events planned for then and in the fall. The police department's doing well. We are authorized to have 84 officers. We currently have 80. This is mainly due to retirements, and a couple of officers had some career changes. This isn't because officers are leaving to go to other police agencies. People are happy here, so we're grateful for that. We do have 2 new officers being sworn in next month, and we're always looking for the best candidates possible to add to our department. We continue to seek out and utilize grants, federal grants, state grants, MMRMA grants, whatever we can utilize. We take advantage of the fully funded training classes that the state offers. We continue to partner with community organizations to make the lives of our residents better. And this year's police budget, although this is an exciting year, the budget's not super exciting. It doesn't differ a whole lot from last year. So some of the things that you'll see increases in our salary and benefits, just due to contractual agreements. And then there are some other minor changes to some of the other accounts. Nothing major. We're fortunate to be able to utilize the drug forfeiture fund to pay for some of our large expenses. We're looking this year to improve our drone program, buy new car radios to be compliant with an impending encryption mandate. We are wanting to replace our AEDs, our external automatic external defibrillators, to ensure aid to people with cardiac emergencies. We're looking to replace a retiring canine and to purchase new vehicles. Our proposal is straightforward and well prepared, and we respectfully ask that it be approved. Thank you.
And I'm going to piggyback off of, too, the great job both the chief and the deputy has done. And not only are, like Jason said, I would probably say, 7 of our last 10 officers have been coming here with at least 4 to 5 years of experience or more. So we are not only recruiting some new people out of the academy, but we are a destination where a lot of officers like to come to.
Mr. Karen?
Thank you. So first off, which canines are retiring?
Rocky, he'll have been here, it's 7 years this year.
Okay.
For the service life, which is pretty typical of a police service dog.
All right, Officer Kaufman still, he's not retiring, right?
No.
Just the canine?
No.
Okay,
No, we hope he's not retiring. He'll still be here, just the dog will be retired.
all right. But the, Rocky's going to stay with Officer Kaufman, though, and his family, right?
That's right.
Good. Okay. No, really, the only question I have is, and maybe more for Dustin. So when I brought up earlier about the extra revenue coming in from the police and fire millage passing with the $500,000 increase, roughly about 1.4 million of revenue comes in from that. And when I look at the last year's budget and this year's both police and fire budgets, both increase basically due to wages and, inflationary costs of about 800,000. So there's 600,000 left over. You have a balanced budget, that means that 600,000 is balancing the rest of the budget, not really going to police and fire. So what kind of mechanism, that's one of the things we're being asked during the election was, how do we know all that's going to police and fire? And it's like, well, the only way it can be is through the budget. Like, there has to be some line item that is saying, hey, this money's now getting reserved potentially for a, future expense, future larger expense that could be coming down the road for either department. So how do we go about doing that?
And I think the big thing too with the tax increase was due to Headley, our millage rate had continued to roll back. Originally, when it was instituted, it was at 5 mils. And it continued to roll back. And even before the increase, it was covering, and I'm trying to find this sheet, but less than 50% of what the wages were.
And that part I get. And when that increase, when we did that back in 2015, 16, one of those years, it was because the general fund was going off a cliff. And there was no, it was basically like, yeah, that's our largest expense. We need the money to offset that expense, right?
That's correct.
Going into this one, no, the budgets were balanced going in. So there's where the expectation is, if people are voting for more money for police and fire, there's actually a budget line item that's showing all that increased money is really going to police and fire, whether it's this budget year, reserve fund, or something. So that's kind of where, in terms of, and maybe that is, in terms of a reserve fund, of what that difference is, because eventually it's going to catch up, right? Eventually, in a few years, baseline to this year will be 1.4 million roughly in that, or where the inflationary increases are going to be. So just looking for a mechanism for how we do that. So big means to say that, yeah, that increase people voted for really does go to police and fire.
Yeah. But, and you are, it really just depends on how you want to look at it, because it is, right now, that millage doesn't cover, so I don't want the residents to feel that millage actually covers our police and fire. It doesn't. It covers approximately just of wages only, not even all the services and all the expenses that are included, vehicles and all that. Just in wages, it covers approximately 60, I think it's 63%, but it only covers 63% of even just their salaries. So that's what kind of the thing is, as you know, it was kind of a shortfall of Headley, Proposition A, of not allowing it to go up. And that was one of the things that we looked at. And as you are correct as well, it did bring in additional, I think it was 1.4, 1.39, something like that. And the budget increased, I think you were correct, like 900,000, 880 some thousand. So that was a big increase. Obviously, we just settled our police contracts. We're still finishing up what fire is. And also as well, we got 2 big buildings, and then we still have 2 buildings that we're still gonna be doing eventually some repairs.
And I think in terms of the other 2 for fire, that's kind of what I'm thinking of, having that set up as a reserve fund. That way you've got capital money set aside to deal with, north and south stations.
Yep.
After the other 2 new buildings, so just think about that, in terms of, and whether it's sidetracking or something, we've been doing all the sidetracking for the committees for all these years, right? To just keep track of what that number is gonna be in that, so that when some of those large expenses come in, you can say, well, hey, this is really here's where that money is gonna go to in that, so just consider that.
Ms. Rusi.
Thank you. Well, first, I guess I'll back up Councilman Karen on that request. I think that's important, especially given some of the messaging that was being put out there, supporting the millage request and making sure that, this millage does have 2 departments' names on it, that the police do see some of the increase as well. It's police and fire, not. So I think that's important. Could you keep us updated on the K-9 process? It's always a really exciting thing for the community. I know the kids love it. It's a wonderful time, especially coinciding with the 100-year anniversary of the department, the 75th anniversary of the city. We have some excitement already going. Maybe we could do a welcome. I don't know what the timing is, but if it would be in 2026 or.
The goal would be for us to obtain the dog, and the training would begin this fall.
Okay, cool.
So,
Yeah, that would be cool if we could roll that into some of the other recognitions we already have. I know people, the kids love the K-9 officers. It's everyone's favorite.
yes, indeed.
Favorite thing, but that would be nice if we could roll that into some of the celebrations. One thing I do hear from some residents, both on social media and in person, I hang around Yardmore Elementary PTO a lot nowadays with my nephew, but also some of the other schools is to reassess the crossing guards, maybe increasing the coverage there, maybe gain some more crossing guards. I've even heard people wanting some presence at some of the high schools now. So maybe we could look into that program and reassessing how they're being deployed, maybe even increasing it a little bit time-wise and also number-wise too.
Okay, and we've done evaluations, God bless you, over the years. And we did at one point, we eliminated guards at high schools because we figure,
Yep, less people walking, I understand that, but I've also heard some desire to reevaluate the reevaluation, just given how crazy people drive and how people don't pay attention, that people have been saying that forever, but safety and crossing is something that I have heard a lot recently, and some concerns about that, so while we're talking about this budget, maybe that would be a time to evaluate some of those things, and also not only the crossing guards, but other, taking advantage of some of the technology available to also help assist in making some safer crossings around the school areas. So, thank you.
Mr. Vitale?
Yeah, tangentially related to I believe the points that the prior two council members made. One difference between the police page and the fire page is that the fire department has always done a pretty good job tracking runs. And they're even broken out by lift assist, structure fire, outside burning, et cetera, et cetera. And in many of these categories, they are up. So for example, EMS transport is up 570 runs, which is almost 2 a day increase year over year. So they have made a case for increased staffing in fire. I'm wondering if something similar for police wouldn't help us to know that maybe manpower, you guys are doing more runs, more calls with the same number of officers, if maybe that wouldn't kind of help give us an idea, maybe where we should be putting some of that police fire millage money.
and we can include that stuff. It's not a problem. This year, we're, as of about 4 o'clock today, 3,482 runs this year. Last year, we were 28.8 runs, 28,015 the year before, 25,352 the year before. So we usually average between 25 and 30,000 runs. Some years back, we were up closer to 32, 34,000, but.
Well, and breaking them out too, in the case of the fire department, I think is very helpful because, for example, a lot of them are lift assists. And I know those come from a lot of our assisted living centers and things like that. And there's, I don't know, a desire, at least for me, and I think a couple other council members have mentioned it, to start charging for these lift assists because these are privately operated companies that are basically maxing out a public service for their own gain because they don't want to hire people to do what we're doing. So, again, knowing if the number of police runs is, is this a larceny case or something like this, or is it just somebody calls that there's a car parked on a lawn or something like that, a relatively minor issue, would really help, I think, give us, an understanding of what your personnel needs are.
Okay, yeah, we can get something like that out.
Thank you.
All the numbers are there, so. We do, and I think part of the planning plan, the official plan, we do something like that and provide numbers of arrests and numbers of tickets and numbers of drunk drivers.
And I've seen this before. That's why I know I don't think it'll be anything you don't do, but they've got it in a budget book, and I don't want to use a phrase like squeaky wheel to refer to anyone, but, we'll kind of know why they are going to talk about staffing, and it would be good to know if the same issues are there for police.
Okay.
Mr. Ravello?
2 quick questions. First of all, I wasn't exactly sure with Councilman Kieran's questions. So it is possible to separate that stuff out at some point? As far as you're talking about with the millage numbers?
For sure, it's possible.
Okay, and the second thing is since people sort of like their safety here in St. Clair Shores, did pass the millage, so you're at 80 officers right now, you need 4 more. So what's sort of the timeline on getting 4 people, and how do you go about doing that?
We have open application period. If we check pretty much daily to see who's applying. We're very picky about who we choose to work here. We want top quality people. So the 2 we have coming on, one's got prior experience in another agency, one's fresh out of the police academy. So if there are any officers at other agencies that would like to come to a great place, they can certainly go to the city website to apply. If anybody does know of anybody that's in the police academy or is thinking about the police academy, they can call and ask. We can get information to them to help them get on the team.
But it's an ebb and flow. I mean,
It is.
they come and they go. I mean, we're always in the, it's people changing, retirements, it comes and goes.
And we've been very fortunate. I mean, usually we're fully staffed. My entire time here, we've been pretty much fully staffed and had a waiting list to be able to come here. We just have ran into, as Chief had stated, 2 individuals who got the opportunity to go into their own private family business. And then we had some health issues with a few different individuals, and then some retirement. So we happen to have kind of like a little flow of some not normal situations. I think we'll be back to normal in no time. And these are a little different. One other thing I do want to bring up is I haven't been approached yet, but I know the chief has. One of our local school districts are possibly looking to add an additional officer at their school building. If that were to happen, we will, like I said, once again, I haven't been approached yet. I know they're kind of talking right now to the chief. I know they're talking to their school board. So we might be getting approached for potential another officer at one of the school buildings with a similar, I'm assuming a similar situation because they currently have one. So you want to elaborate a little bit without going into too much detail?
So there's a lot of money available through the State of Michigan Education Department for security for school districts. So one of the superintendents reached out to me, said they're going to apply for that money. They want to have a second officer in their schools year-round. Our current officer is there pretty much only during the school year and for special events. And then they pay accordingly for the services. So they would be looking to add an additional licensed officer year-round, and they would have money going forward to fund that position. So it would have to be an additional person onto the staff of the police department if that were to be approved. And that'd be a full-time position even in the summertime.
Would that be not one of the 84, or would that be a
No.
85th person?
Yeah, we don't have an extra person at this point to assign out to that, so it'd have to be an extra 85th person.
Thanks.
And I would say that even if we're getting funding from the school district, and if they wanted to change and not use it again, I mean, we always got retirement, so it would fall right back into the system. We would, right, I presume, correct? We would be fine.
Yes.
Yes, and the other nice thing too with these opportunities is the school systems is off in the summer. And the summer is when a lot of your officers do take time off. It's one of our highest times for the overtime. So if you actually look at the overtime in the summer and into hunting seasons are probably our 2 biggest times. So it does alleviate the times that you have to call an officer in because you have that other officer that is able to help that as well. So when the schools usually take like 75% of the cost, and then, like I said, it usually is a win-win. But if that actually does come to our table and the school is successful in the grant, then we will be approaching you probably in the season and ask. And we'll probably know more this summer.
Mr. Frederick?
Thanks, Mike. That's exciting that we'd be able to add an officer. Can you just comment or elaborate a little bit on the flock and drone program you mentioned?
Our drone program is in effect. We use it frequently for looking for lost or missing people. We use it for foot pursuits. We use it for, we assist other agencies. The Roseville had an incident where an officer was shot. We had our drone overhead to help with perimeter security there. So it's used quite often. The officers take the drones out on patrol with them, just in the trunk in a case, so they can deploy them right from a scene if there's a pursuit. We've recovered stolen guns that have been dropped by fleeing suspects. It's coming in handy. Things aren't getting any cheaper in that field. So one of the DLEF capital requests would be for a new drone to kind of replace one of the smaller outdated drones. They're great tools to have. Same with Flock. Our detectives use the Flock system daily. Last quarter, we used Flock. I think detectives used Flock information, 79 cases in the first quarter of this year. 25 cases where a suspect or suspect vehicle was identified, and then 6 cases where arrests were made. So it does come in handy for them to use to identify people that we don't want in our community.
How many drones do we have right now?
I think 3 drones, 4. So we'd probably be looking to replace the oldest one and still have 4.
And that's enough, you think?
For the
You
time
trade them
being.
off by shift, right?
Right. And there's, they keep different the batteries charging at different times and different drones, different battery sizes and such, so.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Karen?
And the school resource officer, so that wouldn't be a new hire going to be assigned to the school, right? It'd be one of the more experienced officers to take that assignment, and then it would get backfilled by an additional officer for as long as the school is funding that position, correct?
That's exactly right. The POA contract discusses these specialty positions outside of patrol, so it would be a senior officer that puts in for it, and then the newly hired officer would take the road patrol position.
Okay. And if you can find out from the schools, is their funding request, how many years does it go for? Is this something they're going to be doing, having to apply annually for, or is it a multiple year just to help in your planning, in terms of what type of impact it would have?
Sure. The application, I think, was being submitted last week or this week. Their intent is to pay for it going forward, whether there's grant money or not.
Okay.
Mr. Vitale?
Yeah, well, first of all, Chief, I want to apologize a little bit because, and actually for all the department heads coming up, because even though it's not strictly budget related, it is the time where all the department heads are in front of us. We end up kind of talking policy and things like that. I mean, we should call these policy and budget meetings. But 2 of my colleagues raised points that I would like to maybe further expand on. One of them is there are concerns with flock cameras and drones about essentially creating a surveillance state. Now, I would like to say that when it comes to what I believe our department policies are, is that drones are used primarily in what you would call exigent or interchangeably with emergency circumstance where there's something happening right now and we need an eye on the sky, or potentially related to some type of felony investigation. We're not using cameras to look for people committing misdemeanors or anything like that. And I would assume that would also go for flock cameras. Could you expound on that a little bit?
Right. So the drones are only used when needed. We don't have them up hovering around the city, just kind of patrolling around. They're only launched when the special circumstances arises. And same for the flock cameras. They can't do speed enforcement. They can't do warrant checks. They can't do registration expiration dates. They can't do anything like that related to the motor vehicle code. And our drones and our flock cameras do not talk, if you will. There are new platforms out there where everything is interconnected with the drones, the flock cameras, the body cameras, the in-car cameras, all of these different things. Ours are all kind of insulated. They're all separate entities. So,
Well, I guess one reason is to, explain maybe the residents in terms of policy or something like that. One reason I can get behind something like flock or the use of drones is that, we are using them for sort of those circumstances, like you said, to a missing person, a fleeing suspect or something where that eye in the sky advantage, it's just undeniable and very much an asset. I don't ever want to see a point come in the city where we're going to say that we're going to fly a drone over somebody's backyard to see if they put a shed up that wasn't in compliance. Or I know that sounds ludicrous and, maybe silly to you, but people have those kind of concerns, and I want them that, I would never support that policy. I hope we wouldn't. But I will say there are other jurisdictions that don't feel that way. They feel that they should just be used for every possible advantage they can be used for. So since we do get a lot of email and things like that on that, I just kind of wanted to clarify that while you're in front of us.
Yeah, and we frankly don't have the time nor the desire to be looking for,
And
Those types of
I'm glad to hear
situations.
that. There's a whole lot of lower hanging fruit that's more important. On the subject of police officers in schools, and I have an issue with that. And of course, if there's funding out there and the school districts are essentially paying for this, then that makes sense. But I do have a question. For a while, we were providing officers during even school board meetings. Are we still doing that? Now, the school district, we're paying for that, but are we still providing those officers for school board meetings?
I can probably count on one hand the times that an officer was at a school board meeting at the request of the superintendent or board president, where there was a topic of discussion that was going to occur that was anticipated to be
Passionate?
Heated?
heated, passionate, yes. So it's not a routine thing that we do. We pretty much, if a school requests us, so this week there's a track tournament occurring at South Lake. They've requested officers to work the track meet. We don't typically work track meets. We typically do football and basketball, but they request us. We have available personnel. They're footing the bill. It's going to make the event better or safer, then we do it. So if they request us to be at a meeting, we'll be there, but it doesn't happen super often.
Okay, understood. I get that, and that's within their purview to do that and their own governing bodies, but just kind of wanted to ask that question to see if that was still going on like it was in the COVID era. So, thank you.
Gentlemen, thank you. Fire department.
All right, as they're getting up and Jamie's coming up here. Jamie, before you start your budget, if you would like to give them some information.
Okay, sorry I wasn't prepared for that. So I spoke with Dustin Day and gave him a piece of paper. I've accepted a position as the city manager in another town in Texas, so I will be leaving the city soon. But it's been a pleasure and an honor, and I look forward to all of our interactions and everything we've done together. I appreciate it. And all of you.
Congrats.
Yeah, congrats, but sorry to hear that, Chief. We
Back
appreciate
to
your service.
Texas.
So he's definitely, I will tell you, is going to be.
Is your son staying?
Yes, sir.
Oh,
I was
good.
already
Okay.
informed that he was the better piper in the city, so we're gonna keep him and let him go.
Just to
I
clarify.
may or may not have said that.
What city?
I will let that out soon.
Oh,
Still, you know, it's fine, we're still.
Did you say city manager?
Yes,
He did.
yes.
He
Smaller
did.
city in the panhandle of Texas. Still working out some of the stuff with the contract, but I'll make all that public here pretty quick.
Congrats. Yeah,
The Caroline Ranch, Amarillo.
city manager.
Congratulations. Very, very proud of you.
Appreciate it.
So tell us about the department, where we're at.
So the fire department is still excellent. Are you using this? I didn't think this was good tonight.
Yep, we are.
Sorry. So the fire department's still doing well. All the fires are currently out. None have started up in the last few minutes. Staffing has been decent. We're currently down one position, but I have somebody starting May 11th. So we'll have that last one filled, and we have some projected retirements coming up that we're planning for. But other than that, we currently have full staffing at the department. As Mr. Vitale mentioned a little bit, some of our call volume is up a little bit, but overall on how that goes, there's also a little bit of a trade-off between transports versus no transports. So that's why on the revenue side, you see a little bit more in ambulance revenue, but not quite as much as we would hope for based on the amount of EMS calls we go on. The percentage of transports has actually been trending down a little bit over the year. So we go more often, but people also don't go to the hospital as often, so it's a little bit less on the revenue. And then the bottom line number, the big change is from the salary and fringe benefits. We tried to make some adjustments in there on the operating budget. There are some increases, but also a few decreases. So most of that on the operating side has been pretty neutral for the most part. And then the big part for us right now that, I don't know if we're going to go super in depth with it right now or more during the motor pool fund, but we do have in there, it's time for another ambulance replacement. So we've got that going. And then we also have in there for a replacement staff vehicle. Some of the staff vehicles are a little bit older, and almost every single one of them is a hand-me-down from another department that had extended life with us at the fire department. And so there's a plan to replace one of those and then push some other vehicles around or down, and then retire out, or if another department has their eye on it, then we'll still get rid of one of those other smaller vehicles. And oh, yes. Well, there'll be an email with some pictures soon. The newest fire truck arrived the other day. They were doing in-service training today. We still have the radio to go with it, and we're waiting for the state inspector so that that thing can be allowed to go out, but we're anticipating within the next, hopefully 2 weeks, that truck will be ready to go. And then I'll give a brief update on the fire station as well. We actually was talking with Mr. Reyes earlier today. We've started coordinating with the radio folks and the movers, so May 13th. And then we have the hose uncoupling ribbon cutting ceremony for the 15th. So it's going along.
With that, you guys have seen Chris Ray's emails. There was some concrete that when they put the blanket over during the freeze frost, the blankets didn't keep it warm enough. We had a very cold winter. So they are going to be ripping up. So if you see them over there ripping up some of the concrete, there's this small portion because they didn't pour all the concrete at the same time. So it was the portion that's kind of the approach and the area where you just enter in, along with part of the sidewalk that is there. So that will be getting ripped up probably within the next couple of days, and then it'll be put back in immediately.
Is that in the back? In the back?
In the back, correct. So that'll be done. That will not cost us anything. It's on the contractor, because the blankets didn't hold, so that will be getting done.
Is that showing signs of failure right now?
So it's scaling at the top is what kind of saw, because the frost bubbles and the moisture got in there. So we actually did core samplings of all the concrete that were there, and we're able to find out where the areas was, and it was just in the targeted area of the last pour, which Jamie would know exactly, but it's kind of the approach, and
It's pretty much where you come
10%.
in the back parking lot, and that middle section was sort of that last part that was poured.
Okay. And that comes out of our contractors?
yes, yep, they're covering it. They knew it was, they poured it and the blankets didn't hold.
I'm just kind of emphasizing for anybody that might be watching
Oh, yeah.
at home.
Yeah, sorry.
That's,
Yeah, they're taking care of it.
yeah.
Sure.
And they plan on having it in.
Almost like a warranty.
Yeah, having it in and done, just before the move-in on the 13th, so we can move in and not have to worry about anything and have the uncoupling on the 15th, and everything should be done before that date.
Mr. Kieran.
Thank you. Yeah, actually, in terms of the wages, because I think contract's been going on for so long. When we did budget last year, did we put in a figure for the fire, like a average increase amount into the budget?
We did, we just did the 5%.
Okay.
And then that ended up being, as council is aware, we haven't finalized yet, but it's tracking higher than that. And then at this July, the current estimated contract has another 3% on top of that. So this total contract here is actually the entire contract increase. Like I said, the amended or the actual
Right,
budget.
So just look at the numbers, right? The 4.38 the
Yep.
4.398 million, right, of last year, that had a placeholder for a 5% increase for last year, right?
That is correct.
Okay. And then this is going up 600,000 for this year, now that the balance of the contract is negotiated.
But not signed, yes.
Right, not-
But yeah,
right.
yes. This is anticipating what the last revision that council saw, that's included into this.
Wow, okay. It's just, 5% from the year before, those are like the biggest increases that we've ever done. And then to see that, from prior, it was like 300,000 up jump from 2005 to 2006, now we're $600,000 jump. Same number of people.
Yep.
That's huge. And that accounts for all the additional, amenities or, allowances that were built in, that were negotiated, right?
Those would not be in wages, those would actually be in the
That's
friends
in there.
benefits, yep.
Okay, that's a different
Those
one.
are in there,
Okay.
yeah. This does take into consideration everything that was been in the last package that you have seen.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Vitale?
So it'd be fair to use the word includes retroactive,
It does.
okay? Because obviously that is, when we do come to a contract, what we're
Actually,
doing.
just to clarify then, whenever we go to do the retroactive payment, it would be in this fiscal year, assuming we approve the contract before June 30th,
Yes,
right, which we're on track to do at some point.
hopefully, yes.
Okay, so that would not be in the next budget. It would be this year's budget for the retroactive payments.
The retroactive payments will be in this year's budget, and then the $5,043,431 that's budgeted would be their current salary without the retro payments. It would just be their current salary, but it would include their raises that they would have gotten on the January 26th, or July 26th, and then the raises that they would have got on July 27th. So they're gonna get their, because they had in the contract, which is currently pending, they had another 3% that they would get on July 27th, plus their other wages that they would have received.
Okay.
And their wages that ended up being part of the mediated settlement that right now is in front of us is more than 5%, clearly.
Okay. Sorry, Chris.
So this number, the 4,398, is actually not accurate, because that was only the 5%. That will have to be amended once we
Yes.
do.
Right, okay.
Okay.
Any further clarifications, welcome. So how are we doing in terms of, not having to cancel an ambulance out of service because of personnel? Or in terms of overtime, I've heard all these raised as issues and potentially a reason that we might increase staffing at fire. Can you speak to that?
So the short answer is it's not really gotten better. We're probably averaging once a week, at least, that we're down a person or two, for an average of probably 8 hours when it does happen. So yes, that has not really improved since last year.
All of our outstanding issues for having not signed a contract, my awareness is they're non-economic, so no budget impact there.
I'm sorry, what was that again?
Reasons we haven't signed a contract so far are non-economic, so that no budget impact is expected. I mean, I know it's all up in the air if it goes to arbitration.
If it goes to arbitration, it's all up in the air.
Yeah.
If the current media settlement, it's all numbers are calculated into the current deal. So the current deal is, now I also stress during those negotiations, there are also things in there administratively that was kind of done to try to help offset more comp time rather than, trying to work overtime. The no taxes on overtime, there was also.
You can't take credit for that one.
No, I can't. But there's things in there, that was part of the negotiation while we were talking.
Okay.
There was also how they can use their sick times, how they can work Kelly days now. So there's stuff in there that was put in there to help alleviate vehicles being shut down. That was one of our main
Okay.
goals, was to prevent the vehicles being shut down. There's also was language put in there too, that if we still end up shutting down vehicles and what we tried to do didn't work, that we would look at how we could rehash that as well. One of the things that was discussed on our end was, right now they can have 3 people off on a shift, we tried to say, hey, we want 2. They felt some of these other things would address it. So, we're gonna find out if that's accurate once this contract does get settled. If it does help us not have the vehicle shut down as much, but we won't know that until everything is kind of up and running.
So one of those items, as I kind of talked about, this ends up being kind of policy and budget, is lift assist is up more than 100. What I've heard is, again, with our assisted living centers, et cetera, but here we show an increase of 100, and to my knowledge, we haven't opened any new beds or anything in the last year. There's been some discussion, I think, informal on council about a policy to begin charging for those, and I believe the city of Sterling Heights does that and has done that now for quite a while. I am quite willing to sit down, or if it needs to be a subcommittee, or if just me sitting down with the city attorney and start looking at ordinance language, because I quite honestly don't think it's fair that for-profit companies are using public services so that they may show a higher balance sheet, which is what it boils down to, in my opinion.
So to answer your question, so part of it, we have been watching carefully Sterling Heights. We were waiting to see if there was any pushback on that legally.
So were we.
As you say, clearly seems to be working out for them, so we can start to look into that. The other part, I don't want to speak to numbers and be incorrect. I do know, well, I don't want to hazard a guess, but I can tell you we do a lot of these at homes. And lift assists also sometimes are sort of like our wires calls. Like our wires call looks impressive, but we're 40 off. That's one storm and it's 40 wires down calls. And where I get with that is if you have someone in town who is going through maybe chemotherapy or some other kind of incident, and they're calling us frequently for to help them get in the car because they're going off to their appointments, and then we'll call a few hours later when they come back. So there is a little bit of ebb and flow with that sometimes too, just based on the homeowners who are having an issue. But I'm trying to think through my head right now how easily it would be to sort these. Worst case, I can pull up a couple months and just manually put them in. We can get an idea for you what percentage go to a facility versus a home.
Well, I would like to, because I do believe the Sterling Heights ordinance concentrates on for-profit. And
Absolutely.
That's one of the reasons that we thought it might get challenged. I'm certainly not looking to increase cost for a resident that's going through chemo or anything like that.
Agreed, and neither would we.
But if the
that's a word.
for-profit portion of this is held up in Sterling Heights, then I would like to explore it for us.
Certainly.
And I think a good thing though, as Chief Piper was mentioning though, is not just using our lift assist numbers here, but find out is 70% of those at a for-profit facility? Is it 50? Is it 40? What is that? So we know exactly what that number is. So we can also calculate what
If it's worth it.
estimated time, right? if
Is
it's
the
worth it.
juice worth the squeeze?
For sure.
So, yeah, I would like to maybe go a little deeper dive on that, and not necessarily even all lift assists. There's probably other categories here that relate to work we do at assisted livings and that we may do at, private homes too. So, anything in that category that would be related, I'm interested in more data on.
Okay, we can certainly get that for you.
Thank you.
Mr. Rubello.
I guess this question may be for Dustin. Just make a quick comment on the operational costs of the fire department. Too bad I wanted to ask the police guy though too, but I'll let that one go. So if you can make a comment on our operational costs.
I'll leave that, to the fire chief if he wants to. He knows more of the ins and outs of what the operations are going on there and the
Yeah,
costs.
I guess, are you looking for further detail on some of these sections or just overall what our operational costs?
Overall.
Overall, the operational costs have actually borne out pretty similar. We've had a little bit of price increase in some of the things like our medical supplies. But for the most part, we've forecast or historical information and forecasted well enough over the last couple of years that we're in here pretty well. The other kind of change in some of the things when it actually affects the building, even though New Central is a brand new building, there's still going to be a little bit of stuff that probably will come up. So over last year, we actually slashed the building budget a little bit because we were only going to be operating 2 real buildings for the time period. So that kind of thing. And then if there's anything in here on some of these categories, I have some pretty good breakouts on all of them.
So I can contact you later time.
Sure. Yep,
Okay.
that'd be fine.
And the second thing is on your goals here, okay? Like, previously, the police department had a goal as far as, personnel, staffing, all right? They had 80, they wanted to get to 84. I don't see anything staffing-wise in the goals of the fire department, because I thought staffing was supposed to be, a big part of,
Sure.
the millage and all that type of stuff, so I don't know if you can make a quick comment, or if you can't, that's fine too.
I can cover some of it, and then I'll kick it back. So
Okay.
there was no language that came out of anybody, any one of us, or administration, or even out of council, that
Okay.
the fire millage had anything to do with staffing.
Okay.
So I want to clear that up right away, that our current staffing levels had nothing to do with the millage increase. The millage increase was current staffing costs are going up, and current operating costs are going up, and we've got 3 buildings, or actually 4 buildings at that time, that were all built into the 50s. We were repairing 2 of them with ARPA dollars. We were very fortunate, but we still have 2 in North and a South Station that are aging. We still have, as you guys get to see when you approve our ambulance and our fire trucks, those have tremendously went up in cost, especially since COVID and even all the additional cost. As you guys are well aware as well, it's taking 3 years for us to even get ambulance and fire trucks once they're ordered. So the supply and demand is still not really met. So we are dealing with a lot of cost increase, and unfortunately, due to Headley and Proposition A, as we talked earlier, that millage kept tracking down. We were looking to reset it to the 5, and we chose to reset it to go up 0.5, which went to 4.9. And since then, the last 2 years, it's actually rolled back both times again. So we have a rollback this year, we had a rollback last year. So even though it passed in November, it still is subject to the rollback, even though we haven't even instituted in last year's budget. So those are kind of more of that. As Jamie had mentioned, and I guess I'll let Jamie go with staffing. Staffing is something that we still analyze and reviewing. It is something that I'm sure you guys hear from the fire department. We could use some more. Our ambulance runs have went up. I'm not gonna tell you that we aren't in need of more individuals to make sure we're not shutting down ambulance. And I know the chief has worked on different kind of proposals, but we also have a tight budget. And we also are dealing with staffing issues. I would say fire is one of the more pressing ones. I know we hear inspectors and that kind of stuff as well. There are little things that we are trying to do. We also feel that this budget and how they said that they can try to work within it to see, there are things we're looking at, but ultimately staffing is constantly brought up from the chief and is something we're constantly looking at. And I'm sure that, we'll have work study sessions in the future on how we can address that. But with this budget this year, with all the significant raises, it is gonna be a tight budget.
Yeah, I was just puzzled because it's not in the goals, so.
So to answer specifically on that one, the way that we identified this one and what I went for was this was the stuff that was in our control to do. Increased staffing is a policy and a budgetary discussion with you as the group. So I wanted for our goals to be stuff that we could achieve, whether we get more funding or not for more people, just to be able to separate the two. I mean, we all know, and I know the council knows, as we add more people and can do more things, yes, we're going to be able to see some more outputs out there. But like I said before, that's a larger policy and budget discussion. So we're going to focus on what we could do with what we had for this year.
And stating that, and I thank Councilman Vitale for bringing up outside the box ideas on what we can look at and how other revenue sources are to help try to cover some of these costs. And as Jamie had mentioned as well, with our call volumes and the EMS runs, just because we're bringing in EMS for transport, if they're not going to the hospital, we don't get anything. So there is no insurance, there is no calls, and those have actually went down, who actually get transported. So that revenue number has went down. Blue Cross Blue Shield as well, per our ordinance, or our policy. We set our rates based off of Blue Cross Blue Shield. Blue Cross Blue Shield, as of last, couple months ago, has stopped publicizing their rates. So the nice part about, or the hard part about that is we don't have an actual
Thought
published
we used
rate.
Medicare for that.
I thought it was Medicare myself.
So they base Medicare and every year in the past, they've had the Medicare rates and the Blue Cross Blue Shield rates, which are more indicative of what's actually getting paid out there. And so that was a useful number that we felt was a fair benchmark.
So we had both.
We had the ability to both, but Blue Cross Blue Shield was a little bit higher and made more sense
Yeah,
in the
the private
recommendations.
insurer was always looking at Blue Cross
Correct.
Blue Shield to set
And-
the standard.
Yes.
That was back in like
Correct.
2010 we did
And
that.
they still have a mechanism. They can recommend, here's the Medicare rates, and we recommend X times 1.5 of that, or whatever their recommendation is. But it was easy, and like we said, we administratively had set a couple years back to go off the Blue Cross rates, and then they stopped publishing them. So they're working on trying to get that information on what they've actually been able to get from Blue Cross, but they're literally taking the information and then rebuilding that same chart that they used to
Who's
get.
got the floor right now? I mean, Dave, are you done?
Yeah, I'm done, Mayor.
Okay, I'll come back to you, Mr. Vital. Let me come get everyone to have a shot. Mr. Frederick.
Oh, thanks. I was going to bring up that this is like my fifth budget where I've asked for a fire inspector. And I know we did have a marshal and an inspector at one point, and before that, I was asking for it too. So cumulatively, it's probably 10 budgets. But this is something, and I know we've all talked up here, we've talked privately. Dustin, you and I have spent hours on the phone talking specifically about that and about the fire department and all that. So if in fact we're going to add some people, can we please look at that again? Look at it intently to make sure that not only what we're doing for this department, but that actually could help CDI as well with looking at plans and those kinds of things. I know that we are going outside the box a little bit with some non-personnel doing some of that work, contract work. Is that number in the fire department budget? Do you know? And if it is, where is it?
The cost incurred,
For the going outside?
yeah, it gets charged to the builder, or architect, whoever's submitting the plans. They pay for it on their end.
All right, so we're not hiring. they're
Correct.
hiring. Okay. All right, but please, fire inspector and marshal, so that we can get caught up on all the stuff, especially since we have more stuff to do now. So, thank you.
Ms. Burgess.
I just want to agree with Ron on that one, because that's a big one for me as the inspector. Since we're also sending out, all of our businesses having to have business licenses, and what, we were talking about what they expected from that, what they get for having to pay that money every year for a business license, that, we're offering a business, or telling them they have to pay a business license, but we're not getting out there to do those inspections because it's just too much for us to do in a year or a 3-year plan. We've talked about that before. So yes, please, I'm just dittoing everything that Councilman Ron said, so thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Vitale.
I used a little bit of the time in between questions here to do a little lookup on Google and see if nonprofits were FOIA-able for rates or something like that. It does look like there's some provisions if they receive government funds, which I'm sure Blue Cross does, but nothing airtight on that. I would suggest, I guess, if it's probably affecting other communities as well, again, have to reach out to the state to make that something they can specifically make sure we get, because that's kind of dirty pool to suddenly not publish the rates anymore.
And it is, but we do, the one nice thing, we go through a company that does all of our billings and our rates, and there's a lot of municipalities who do. So there's so much data going in, they're able to kind of track.
Probably have some idea, I'm sure, yeah.
If we would do it ourselves, we would be a little bit more blind, but the fact that we do have that company, it has helped. But I just wanted to let people know that, like, it's harder based upon our policy that says we set on Blue Cross Blue Shield rates. It's easy to say, here's their published rates. We don't necessarily have that as well. So we're utilizing the outside firm that we use that does our billing to be able to kind of set those rates based the best they can off the Blue Cross rates.
Yeah. Understood.
Okay.
Chief, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council.
Good luck.
Were you around for
I'll be around. And family's going to be here, so it won't be the last time I'll be in St. Clair Shores.
Will you be doing the uncoupling too?
Yes, he will.
Oh, yes, sir,
Yes, he
I'll be
will.
here.
Okay,
I'll be here for
awesome.
all that this month.
Yes.
Very good.
Thank you.
I'm just gonna go backwards real quick. So the police budget, we did not talk about the animal control services. As most of you know, our animal control service had expired. They were giving us this extremely high rate. I've met with a few of the county execs. We're still negotiating. As of right now, as part of this negotiation, they just have kept the rate status quo. So as long as they're keeping the rate status quo, and I will tell you, they haven't, I've contacted them a few times, they haven't been in a big hurry to get back and really negotiate. So we're just going off of the status quo pricing right now.
Which deputy's in charge of that now?
It was Andrew,
Is that McKinnon?
I'll send the email out.
Okay.
Yeah.
It just kind of seems, every time we get to that contract, we got some different deputy that we're dealing with up there, so.
Yeah, it starts out bad too, and then it gets a little bit better.
Yeah, I think we're gonna be, it's not gonna be what they,
Throw
Andrew
out.
McKinnon,
Yeah, okay.
Okay, good evening.
great guy.
What tab?
Community service.
No, we're starting at
Tab
20.
number?
20.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. If we're starting with personnel departures, I will also, not me, will note that our city engineer is choosing to further his career in another community, and he will no longer be with us after May 8th. So you will see in our budget pages that there are no significant requests for additional funding. A notable change to the budget is that the sidewalk program expenses will no longer come out of 447. With your vote at the last council meeting, that will now come out of local roads. But even though we are not requesting significantly more dollars, we are not stagnant in what we will be doing next year. We are leading the refresh of the Jefferson Avenue streetscape. So myself and Liz Cotto and formerly Mike Freckleton were on that team, along with the mayor and Councilman Karen. We are continuing ordinance updates to better reflect the community standards, really in hopes of reducing variance requests. We would like to close the conversation with council on disposing of surplus property. That is a goal of ours to accomplish in the next fiscal year. We would like to continue the update of the permit fees and include the review of those fees in the budget process annually. So I thank council for their work on permit fee updates, but we are not finished. We are working to bring floodplain management expertise in-house. Being a waterfront community, that is important to us. Continue cross-departmental collaboration. And then, as you know, we also work with TIFA and we work with the DDA. TIFA is supporting the installation of a self-guided history tour in Wabi Park. They are continuing the transformation of the park landscaping, and they are also supporting businesses in and adjacent to the nautical mile during construction. So we as staff are facilitating those activities. And the DDA is really looking to make the look and feel of the downtown more consistent by purchasing and installing furniture and doing cleanup activities. So those are the goals for the upcoming fiscal year.
Before there's any questions, you might see some of the line items for expenses, wages go down. The major factor of that is before we would transfer CDBG wages, because a portion of those cover Ms. Cotto, cover part of the housing rehab program in Ken Blankenship. You'll see this also in the senior center. Those now are going to be budgeted directly with the CDBG project. For auditing purposes is one of the things that they had kind of recommended and John ended up doing. So now in the CDBG budget, you'll actually see those line items hit the CDBG budget rather than having a bunch of ins and outs. And with the grants and the documentation, it's easier to keep them completely separate. So if you see why some of those raises or some of those categories went down, that's why.
Questions? Mr. Ribello?
Okay, to me, some of this stuff's a big deal. And first of all, I'd like to start with, is it still beneficial for us to be using a person from another city instead of having our own? Dustin or Denise?
Yeah, so I
I'm
mean,
just trying to speed up the whole process of the permits and inspections and things like that.
so there's advantages and disadvantages of having our inspection program being run by City of Roseville. We contract out the City of Roseville. We utilize their inspectors. I necessarily say if you're worried about speed,
Yes,
that has anything to do with it, it doesn't. Even if we had our own, it's not gonna speed up. It's not, we're not delayed because of them. The one nice thing that you would have, if we have it internal, is you have more control. By having more control, we can, be able to, I wouldn't necessarily say we've had a bad relationship at all, because I think the relationship has actually been very successful. But then you have the additional cost by having all the fringe benefits, all the expenses internal. It is something that I think that if council wants to look at addressing in the future, it is. But I will tell you, the speed is not something that you're going to see if we took it over, if we went with another company.
So we would
Speed
have,
with permits has nothing, I mean, we're not delaying things because of going with the City of Roseville as our
I
contract.
guess I'm interested to know, and I'm not saying this is a huge problem, because I guess I don't know how big of a problem it is, or how big of a, or how less of a problem it is, but I have no way to know, like, what our backlog is. Is there some way we can get periodically, like, a backlog of how far we're behind or how far we're ahead? This would help make decisions and people's thinking and stuff.
I think what we can give to you is the number of reviews that are currently in the queue. So we can provide to you a report that says that. We can provide to you a report of when they came in. What we can also provide to you is how many times we've had to request additional information. So that is
Perfect,
key.
because I've had that conversation with you
Right.
before.
That is key when a plan comes in for review and we send it back for additional information for something that isn't code compliant, then it has to come back to us. So we can give you, again, how many plan reviews are currently in queue and how long are they taking?
When you say in queue, does that mean how many are in the
How
system?
do we have, how many do we have that we're
Okay.
reviewing at one time?
Okay.
Yes.
Just to elaborate for this Councilman Rebello, is anytime we have investors, and it's a positive and a negative, a lot of our restaurants and businesses that we have are family-owned. They are mom and pop shops. We have a lot of mom and pop. We don't have a lot of the big chain restaurants or the chain businesses or that. So what ends up happening is if a mom and pop place tries to create, they have to go pay their architect fees, they have to pay their design fees. And when you pay that, sometimes you always don't look at, hey, they see prices and they say this architect costs this much, this one's down here, I'm gonna go with the cheaper one. Well, they end up going with a cheaper person, which sometimes the plans don't always come in correct or accurate or meet code. And then next thing you know, they're paying for revision after revision after revision, which also slows things down. But that architect now who looked like they were cheaper on face value. Now, when you go through 3-4 revisions, they're still getting paid. And now these mom and pop places are, not only they're getting more of their money later, they're now also demanding more time because we now have to send it back. They have to get back in line to queue with their architect. Then their architect sends it back again. If you actually have, when we've had individual chains come in here that have went through this numerous times, we'll just say a Qdoba, Panera, that kind of stuff, they're used to doing these national things. They come in here, they've got their plans. They usually have one revision and they're done. They're in, out the door, and it's really fast. And you have these other ones that have multiple revisions and have to keep coming back. That's the processes that we face that unfortunately we have no control other than we inspect them and we send them back out.
Do we have a system in place that lets the mom and pops sort of know what they're supposed to be doing? Okay, because, listen, a lot of them come in blind, right? They're just opening places up, and they're not real familiar with the process of a city.
And it comes down to them hiring their architect, and that we cannot, as a city, we can't say, hey, use this person, not this one, utilize this company. It really comes down to them doing their due diligence and knowing that.
I guess I'm looking for like a cheat sheet or something for people to come in and say, hey, have this more of a revolving door so that when they come into City Hall, they sort of know what to expect and know what not to expect. And maybe we need, I don't know if it's something we might look at, because I think it's important. Foundation of any city is to have this is a huge department here, okay? This is a biggie to me. So I don't know if there's anything, Liz, that we have or online or something to say, checklist.
Yeah, so there's a couple of things. When a business, whether they're new or they're existing and they want to expand, we have a written set of instructions to go through the site plan approval process to get them from Planning Commission to City Council to ZBA. After that, it's their responsibility to get the building permit in, because again, we can't tell them which architect to use.
Sure, of course.
Anything like that.
Yep.
If a new business is coming into the city, whether they're just going to rent out a space or build a new building, we have one person who is dedicated to building certificate of occupancies, business licenses, and business certificate of occupancies. She walks you through the whole thing from start to
In your opinion,
finish.
is that enough for, listen, our city's sort of getting bigger and bigger in a lot of different areas. And this city's well-liked, and people are coming here, and I don't know if that's something that we need maybe to have another person, at least maybe a part-time person, somebody to catch up on all this stuff to get us to a certain point. Your opinion?
We can always use more hands on our deck.
I know you
I
can.
would never say no, ever, because if it is providing another body to take care of one thing, the phones, the counter, and please understand, we get dozens and dozens and dozens of phone calls every single day, and dozens of people at the counter.
I know you do. That's sort of why I'm
So-
having this conversation. You guys
Yeah.
are busy.
It would alleviate one of our people having to go to the counter as many times and answering the phone as many times,
Okay.
right? If that were.
I mean, I value your opinion. You've been around here a long time. You've seen a lot of stuff, and Denise is, she's on front lines and needs your input, because
Right.
we want to make it easier and better and just
Sure.
smoother.
And the other thing too is, if you're interested in knowing,
Yep.
right now, our mechanical permits, there's 3 of them that haven't been reviewed. Our electrical permits have 2 that haven't been reviewed. Building permits were about 10 or so that haven't been reviewed. And I'm the guilty party. I'm behind. I have about 20.
Listen.
And that's
You're not
1
guilty of
week.
nothing. You're just, you're a busy person, and you guys listen, you do a great job. But
Right.
I just am here do you need a little help to sort of keep the plates in the air? Because there's
And to piggyback, unlike other departments and other services, these right here are all outside businesses that are coming in. One way that you can actually address this, if you feel that, hey, there are additional people, is those that are asking for these services, those fees got to go up. You got to be able to cover their own fees in that own department. So if that own department can too, but now you're saying the same thing, now you're telling these mom and pop places saying, hey, if you want to get things going through, we need more people. CDI needs to be able to cover their cost. The businesses need to be able to cover the cost, because you don't want residents subsidizing the cost to bring in new businesses. So that's where, and I know that Denise and the building crew are going through looking at, hey, here's what we're recommending for new costs and new features. But in order to cover that, you don't want to just say, hey, we're going to add costs and put that on the backs of the taxpayers.
No,
we got to put that on the back of
we
the
did have
businesses
it.
that are opening.
We did have an increase already in this stuff.
We have,
In some of it, we
Some.
did, we have,
I'm
not
just
all.
trying to sort of
yep.
make it easier, because I understand how busy you are. I get it, and and sometimes you just can't ever get caught up, because that's the nature of the beast.
And this is a big ebb and flow business. As you guys know, construction and everything right now everybody's wanting their permits in because it's spring, they're gonna be doing building.
Correct.
You know, when it comes back into the fall, you know, Liz's job is a lot different. And different types, I mean, she has ebb and flows of each part of her job has a lot of substance in it, and there's a lot of things she does, but each time there's different,
Sure.
know,
Maybe that's the
highlights.
time to back out a part-timer or something, or make the switch back to somebody that was doing another job. That's all I have to say, Mayor.
Mr. Karen?
Thank you. Yeah, I would look at it for like, how can we look for efficiencies? Like, one of the things, like, we've gone to an online, permitting process. But even doing that, that doesn't resolve many issues. I know I do all the intake now for the county, in terms of their drain reviews and soil erosion reviews, and I have to kick back several just because people didn't fill out the form right. Or didn't sign it says they undersigned, and they didn't sign it. And I have to send it back to them, like, hey, it needs to be signed. So even though we have like some of these new tech gadgets that are out there, there's still some back and forth. And I think that's the case of even people coming in, and in my area, we're just dealing with kind of two aspects, drains and soil erosion. We're not dealing with building electrical, plumbing, and all that. So I just can imagine all the complexity that's coming in, all the different scenarios that's having to be dealt with. So I guess in terms of, maybe as a goal for this year, I think one of the things for whatever reason, Denise, your position tends to become the one-stop shop in that. And I think even with the engineering being in there, as having a separate city engineer, I still felt there were certain things that were being handled by your department that should be handled by the individual department that's getting the benefit. So maybe there's an opportunity going ahead of how we can get, a little more of the, like a better word to say, the side work
Sure.
that your department's had to deal with, that's not the core part of your department, and really have the other department heads kind of take on those, assignments so that, you're allowed to focus on the key parts of your department.
We do characterize our department as the concierge into the city. Because we are the first prompt on the telephone. So we get every call for every department, and often.
You're option one.
Right. Exactly.
so the first counter too.
We are the first counter, so.
Parking lot, yeah.
Then she goes
And
to DEFCON
we do
5.
try to address
Yeah.
as many issues when someone stops at our counter as possible, but it can be overwhelming.
Okay. And I guess, and I know the online permits numbers are up. I guess I would be interested to know kind of what's the first-time success rate when they submit it? Like, are they complete or, and that can be just an
I'm not
estimate
sure we
number?
can
'Cause
tell you
I
that
know, what I'm looking
through a
at is,
report.
I've got to look at how the system I use, what's the face of the user?
Mm-hmm.
Because I got to think, is like, some of the things I'm seeing in my job today, a prompt on the other end would fix 90% of the issues, right? So I think maybe that's something we start to look at of, hey, what are the common things that are not happening correctly?
A
You know,
chat
that-
bot,
and what's that?
a chat bot,
That could be,
maybe,
in that, so.
an
yeah.
AI assistant to submit your permit.
That could be, or it's just what is up in language, is it clear enough? Is it sending them the right direction? I think, I know I've personally been just thinking about it for my own position, but I think there might be some value there, because seeing the numbers that Julie sends out to us every month, the online numbers are going up and up. And I think that's good, that's less people to counter in that, but if there's also a lot of back and forth of making sure the information's right, that's not helpful either.
One of the things too, that we are looking at and that council has approved and we're working with BSNA is getting those over to the cloud service as well on some of our, programs. CDI being probably one of the first ones that we're gonna transition over to the cloud for that reason. Cause when we're hosting on our own servers and everything's gone there, it makes it harder to add some of those other technologies when we get
We've
over.
been talking about that for a while. Is there
BSNA is so backed up because everybody is having to.
Everyone's recording, that's right. that's right.
Requiring, so.
They're
it
requiring us to
has-
change, but don't have the capacity to change everybody over.
For sure.
Got it.
And it has been a pain.
Got it.
But yeah, so that's why we're starting with them. And then we have a training coming up actually for another software that we're gonna be doing. But yes, I think this will be a big help. And then adding some of those additional features, whether it's a chat box or those prompts. Because when you're on the cloud, you can start creating those prompts of, here's a mistake we've had 15 times. Now when that mistake happens, boom, it steps up. Did you do this? Oh,
Right.
okay, perfect.
Yep. Okay.
But also, as we update our website, your point is well taken, is for us to, we need to do a better job, I need to do a better job of making sure that the public information reflects how I, as a user, would submit my information. The other thing I would tell you that would be incredibly helpful, and I mean this in all humility, is when you are dealing with the public, maybe encourage them to read the ordinances so they know what the city requires, because often we get questions about, well, why can't I do that? And there are things in ordinances that just, they aren't allowed. So that starts us off with a bad relationship. Just a suggestion.
Ms. Burgess?
Yeah, I was looking over, we were talking about the contracted services from Roseville for the
Yes.
building inspections, electrical, plumbing, mechanical. It's in the budget for $480,000 this year.
Yes.
I don't see where it was actual for the year before. Is that under something else the year before?
No, it would be,
It's down in contracted.
Yes.
It's a different account.
Oh, okay.
Yep, you see where it says
Yeah.
contracted
okay, yeah,
inspectors,
no.
building and plumbing?
Okay,
We
so-
used to have them all separate, and I think last year was a suggestion to put them all under services, but break
to
them
roll
out.
them up, right?
Okay. Because I was just looking at that number, I mean, 480,000, is it possible to be able to get somebody cheaper if we bring it in-house? That's something I feel like we should just look at. Not that we have to discuss it now, but something to look at.
I think the last time, and we do, Justin and I have been talking about the contract. The last time that we went out to bid, which was prior to me, McKenna, there were two bidders, McKenna and the city of Roseville, and McKenna was substantially higher, which was the same that we had when we went out for code enforcement services. So, certainly it's always good to go out and see if we can get a better price. And I would also tell council that the inspectors that we have are by no means slouches. I mean, our building inspector has 20 inspections a day plus rental inspections. Our electrical inspector has 12 plus rental inspections. So we do keep them hopping. We get our money's worth for these individuals, and they're very knowledgeable.
And
So-
a majority of them too, it's not like they do work for us, and most of them are just assigned to us, and they're just
To
our
us.
inspectors.
Right.
So they don't even do any inspections over in Roseville, they only do inspections for us. They're just contracted, we contract them through Roseville, they hire additional people. And if we've had an issue with individuals, we went over to Roseville and say, hey, please don't send this one over. That hasn't had to happen that often at all, but when it has happened, they've listened. And, you have the times where you have injuries or somebody's out for vacation, that kind of stuff, and we get subs and they get some cross individuals that are Roseville people coming over and doing work. But most of them are assigned for us and only do inspections in our city.
So if we went to our own contractors, we would be hiring like probably 4 different contractors to do that job.
Yes.
At
Yeah.
least.
Different kinds of contractors, not,
Maybe more.
We would need a trade, plumbing, building, mechanical, electrical. Right now, plumbing and mechanical are the same individual, and then a building official. Those are the services we get through Roseville.
all right, thank you.
Thanks, Mayor. All right, so guilty on some of that stuff up here, and I know a bunch of us are, in terms of coming in, and because we do get calls, and we're not going to turn down anybody that calls us, business or resident, because we have somebody from Roseville, right? And as far as the fringes, we're paying their fringes. It's just not a line item in our budget. We're paying their fringes, because they're getting fringes. And, to Linda's point, that's a lot of money. And I guess, we've talked about this before, and I worry that we're getting a reputation right now, even though you guys you work as hard as you possibly can. And I don't know if our hands are tied in some way, but I know I get it, Dave gets it, Chris has told me about it too, where, the businesses will say something that, oh my God, I can't believe it. And Denise, you and I have been out on a couple of these together where,
We have.
the electrical inspector, maybe it's the one that's not working for us anymore, but they would tell them they got to do something, then they do it and they go, oh, by the way, now that you did this, you got to do that. Why didn't he tell them that right from the beginning? If you do this, then you're going to have to do this. That's the kind of stuff I think that we're all talking about, where we're getting bad information or giving bad information to these folks coming in. To Dave's point, we're doing awesome in this town. A lot of people are going to want to fill those empty buildings that everybody thinks we can do, right? But people are going to come here and want to fill those buildings. You guys, I hate to say it, you're going to be busier over the next few years, especially as the economy goes down a little bit, those buildings get a little cheaper, people with money might come in, all right? Also, Dustin, to your point, I know we've talked about this many times about the mom and pop architect, who's got to go get it stamped by somebody else because they're not really an architect. We have some really good architects here who, and I'm flashing back to one situation very recent where we have one of our name brand architects who came in with a program and somehow didn't know something maybe, and now that project is on hold and may not ever happen. And I don't know, you guys probably know who I'm talking about. And I'm devastated by that because it was beautiful. And this is the kind of stuff that if we had internal people, and by the way, they do stop in Roseville in the morning, don't they? Don't they go to Roseville
They do
office?
get their inspections first from Roseville, yes.
Yeah, so they are working in Roseville, kinda, right? And then they come here and do it. So I guess, I'm just worried that we're not fixing this problem. And for us up here, it is a problem. To Dave's point, we have to change something. And, Disney had this problem, and they did a thing called Fast Pass. They charged extra. You want to go on the line? You want to be ahead of everybody else? Maybe there's a revenue opportunity there. I don't know. I don't even know if that's legal, but just throwing it out there. Yeah, you guys can all you want, but guess what? When somebody comes in.
Well, you have to say, I don't know if it's legal.
I don't. But it seems like everything's legal these days. So we need some inspection
Not
help.
Gretel.
Bob, is it legal?
What's that?
Not Gretel.
Oh, not Kratom, that's right. Well, it's legal if you're 21 right now. All right, also, and just on a side note, if you guys do a chatbot, which I think is a brilliant idea, make sure you give it a name. It's proven out there that if the chatbot has a name, more people will talk to Lucy than they'll talk to our chatbot. No, talk to Lucy, Lucy will help you, okay?
Okay.
Put that down in the back. But I agree with these guys, it is totally true. I agree with these guys, we need to look at this, we need to have some options. And maybe it's not all of them, maybe it's just the ones that, we're struggling with to, Liz, you're 20 behind, right? How can we help you? What can we do to help get some of that off your plate? I know we talk a lot. I call you out of the blue sometimes and say, hey, what's going on with this? What's, how's this? And that's usually generated from a phone call from a business, right? If they're calling us, they've already gone through a bunch of stuff that they couldn't get fixed, okay? And if there's a way to get more people into this program, to help us, I would love to figure out a way to do that. That's my soapbox on that.
Thank you, Mr. Vitale.
All right, I think I'm going to be councilperson 4 on this issue. And I will, first of all, I'll start off by saying this. The idea of that we have architects and professional people who there's a wide disparity of quality among them is absolutely true. Being on the Building Property Maintenance Board of Appeals, I certainly see everything from a sketch that looks like something somebody drew on a napkin to things that are very professional and stamped. And that has a huge impact on how quickly we're able to make a decision. So I do have that. On the other hand, as we've said, that, usually by the time we get contacted by a resident or a business or something like that, and I think we've all been, there's a problem. And unfortunately, I can only give sort of anecdotal examples of things that I've been told about. But I also kind of feel like, if I'm hearing about it, it's probably happened X number more times, and then nobody ever just called me, or maybe they called Ron, or maybe they didn't call anybody because they didn't know who to call. And, one example of that is that we had an inspector that was called out to do an inspection in one particular area, and on his way walking back out of the house said, "Gosh, that's a mighty nice looking sink that you've got there. I wonder if a permit was pulled for that." So the next thing you know, we're requiring a permit for something that we didn't get called out for. And you can make an argument that, well, it did look like a new fixture, and that does require a permit. But guess what? We're also operating in an atmosphere where we can't do things on time. And that's when I was asked to get involved, because it wasn't the objection about whether or not they should have to have that inspection. The objection was that it was 2 weeks out. And this person was under an incorrect assumption that we had some sort of C of O inspection here, and they wouldn't be able to move into their house. So they're saying, do I need to extend my apartment contract out another 2 months and pay this elevated rate? And I had to tell them, no, go move into the house. The police department's not going to kick you out of the house or anything like that. So that phrase, the enemy of the good is the perfect, maybe we should just be striving for a good inspection process instead of having people that are saying, well, I noticed this isn't right, and by the way, it'll be 2 weeks until you can get an inspection on that. Because you know what? I hear the exact same thing in the other direction when it comes to code enforcement. I say, well, we had somebody that was out on this street to see this issue. How did we not see this thing that was 3 doors over? And worse, potentially. Well, Councilman, it's because we're complaint driven. Okay. Well, in this case, we're permit driven. And now we're going out for a specific permit, and then we're saying, based on, I guess, the shininess of a new sink, that, well, I don't know if you had a permit for that. So let me throw you into our system and bog you down a little bit. I don't want to get too hung up on the example of what trade and what example, but it's more of a philosophical, okay? We tell our code people, we expect you to go out and look at this complaint because this is what you're getting sent out for, and we expect you to get back on it. Now, if they weren't getting back out on what they were supposed to go out and look at, because in the meantime they got hung up looking at 3 other things along the way, well, we wouldn't accept that. We'd say you were supposed to go do this, not pick up 3 more things along the way, because we don't even have the manpower to enforce this. Why does it work that way, seem to work that way for code enforcement, but doesn't seem to work that way for inspections? So, again, that's into the philosophical aspect of it. Again, seems to be, there's always seems to be a lot of smoke up here. We don't know if we've ever necessarily found the fire, but it does seem to be kind of an ongoing thing. Second, and that's more of a statement, I guess, than a question, and more of a policy versus a numbers thing. Now to go to a numbers thing. So I'm looking at business license revenue. 23, we're $51,000. 24, we're $53,000. 25, we're $50,000. And then our expected budget number is $75,000. That's a $25,000 increase, roughly. Is that based upon the idea that now we are requiring a broader range of business licenses for professional services that had not been in there?
Right.
That is included, yes.
Okay.
It is not entirely that, just,
Well, my math on this, looking at what we're raising, says that equates to about 500 businesses. Our permit costs $50, right?
Yeah, for offices, correct.
Okay, so that is, I mean, this is almost all be exclusively offices, the increased number, because we just added professional services. So, we're looking at adding processing about 500 more business licenses?
Theoretically, yes.
Fair assessment, yeah.
Yes,
Have we been doing that for all of 25, or did that kick in partway through 25?
26.
I'm sorry. So that just kicked in with 26, so
It
we're
did.
only 4 months into that.
Correct.
Do you know how we're tracking on that? Like how many? Because in theory, we should have 500 applications, right? They all come due at the same time,
They do.
and they're probably about the same number.
Liz is looking up the report. She's working on it.
No, I
If not, we'll
understand,
have
and I
it
don't
for
even
you
necessarily, I'm
tomorrow.
not trying to put you on the spot to
Sure.
give us a number right now.
Sure.
But I'm just curious to know, you know, how we are tracking on that. In other words, do we have enough businesses that know about it? And are they responding to us? Because that was supposed to be the revenue increase for CDI that was going to get them closer to their actual cost. Although I would and did argue that their actual
Partially.
cost was not related to business license inspections, since many times that is no visit or anything even occurring there, so there's no cost. But my argument didn't win the day. I guess that's all I have. Well, one other thing I would say, and then that goes back to policy, is that for a long time, we did internally handle our own rental inspections with, I believe that may have been a part-time person. And when you spoke today, you mentioned our structure inspector does rental inspections.
He does.
Was it plumbing, another trade?
It was
Also does rental?
electrical. Yes,
Electrical, also does inspections.
he does.
Could we lighten that workload by bringing back, and I don't ever remember it, because I was kind of council policy that this person was going to be an in-house person, rental inspector. I don't ever remember us discussing that change, but it hasn't been an in-house person for years now.
Correct.
So if we had an in-house temporary person or part-time person, wouldn't that then reduce the load on our trade inspector?
They would not have to do those inspections. I will tell you that our person who manages the non-owner occupied properties, she is very good and very diligent, and so I think
Good.
yeah, absolutely.
I like hearing
A
that.
full-time person, we could keep busy with
Well, and
rental
then that should, and
inspections.
that's something that should pay for itself, right? Because theoretically, we're charging $200,
150
$150?
every 3
Okay.
years, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So we're charging that $150. They're probably knocking out a few of those in a day.
Yes. We
And-
could tell you how many inspections, non-owner occupied inspections in a day. I can have that information for you.
It's a bunch more than one, because I kind of did the math in
It
my head.
is a lot more than one.
But maybe
Yes.
maybe going back to what we were already doing is the first place to go to try to correct some of the issues with the permit times, et cetera. That wouldn't require any change in ordinance, legislation, policy, just returning to what we'd already done. So,
We can look at that.
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
DPW, Babcock?
We're up to 24.
Good evening.
Good evening. I am here for the Department of Public Works, which has a number of departments. If it's okay, I'll just go in the order that's in my binder.
Sure.
The first one is DPW Admin.
Yes, thank you.
And I'll just quickly highlight any changes within these various departments, try to go through them quickly. DPW admin is myself, an office manager, our DPW supervisor, as well as one of our 2 clerical employees. And the DPW admin is split up between sewer, water, streets, motor pool, and sanitation. In this year's budget, we did include a budget for some building facade repairs and improvements. We have a number of buildings, but on our motor pool building, we have a dry vet material on that building, and actually it's pretty old and it's starting to
Falling
peel
off.
away from the building. So
I noticed that.
yeah, so we'd like to get that repaired, and at the same time, we figure we might as well look at the main garage building. It's got metal siding all the way around it. A good portion's block, but then the upper portion's metal siding, and it's starting to show significant rust in that. So our goal is to hire an architect to start looking at what our options would be, and we may end up having to put more into the future budget to make those improvements. So that's the DPW admin. Sanitation, this is where we purchase garbage carts out of, which is still very popular and keeps us very busy. People come to the counter all the time. And we purchase them, then we sell them at our cost to the residents. Coming up in a couple of weeks, we're going to have our hazardous waste and e-waste collection day. That's Saturday, May 16th at the DPW from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's a free event for our residents, so but it is resident only, so you got to have your ID. So yeah, just spring clean out your house. Bring all your items up. That's what this is for.
So with sanitation, I do want everybody to if it's tab 36, in case you're not there. At tab 36, you can see the current property taxes that we receive through sanitation is approximately 4.653. Interest is about 190,000 we receive, and as Brian had mentioned, the cart sanitation for cart sales usually just matches what the expenses are because we don't make a profit on that. But that does generate our revenue at 4.923. If you flip the page and you go to the expenses, you'll see operating supplies 80,000. That are the carts. So like I said, if we were to lower that, we lower the other one, it's a moot point. So they're just breaking even. You will see our services. This is the estimated cost. That's we had during our work study session of where we anticipate our current rate coming in at. We also did put our RFQ out. We have those back. Our trash committee has a meeting coming up. I believe it's May 13th. So we're going to be meeting as well to continue to discuss that. You can see our pest control is in here. That's 500,000. You can see the history. It's been hovering right around 520, 537, 502. And then you can see all the other things as well. You can see the bottom line, 5.7 is what we're anticipating spending. Once again, bringing in 4.9. That's about an $800,000 deficit. Now, we do have a fund balance in there, able to calculate and cover this. But one of the big part of our trash committee is trying to figure out ways that we can lower what that trash cost is. So we have some outside the box ideas that this committee will be coming back to council. One of the other things as well is really trying to figure out what we want to do with pest control. I know that committee as well was taking a look into that as well. So this first year, as you can see, there is a deficit, and we do anticipate coming up with ideas that will be in front of council to shorten that budget deficit, and then potentially have ideas moving forward to be able to work within that budget. So I just wanted to be clear, though, with sanitation, we do have a committee, we are working on it, and that's the totality of the budget. I'll let Brian continue on with the next department.
The next department I have is the water department.
Yeah, water is tab 30 or 40.
In the water department, we, last year in 2025, we had 155 water main breaks, so we still experience quite a few breaks, and I know this time of year, people are anxious to have their lawns restored and that, and we're working as hard as quickly as we can to get those done, but we do have a lot of water main breaks that happen. We're still dealing with the lead service line work. To date, we've replaced almost 500 lead service lines. Just last year, we replaced 8. So in this current budget, we have included 100,000 to continue with anybody that'll let us into the house. There's about 13 remaining that we know of. So we have some budget in there for that. As mentioned earlier, we have the water meter replacement project. We just started getting shipments of our endpoints and our meters. We got pallets coming in. We're trying to find room for them. And we're hoping to, jump into this water meter replacement project real soon here. And we have included 1.5 million in this 27 budget to continue that work. We've also included in water departments some capital improvement projects, Bond Bray, water main replacement between Harper and Jefferson. We've been waiting for the EPA to come in and do their construction project there, and it looks like that's coming, so we put this in here for the budget so we could do the work in coordination with the EPA. Sunnydale, Jefferson to Lake St. Clair, again, that's for the sewer separation project. While that's being done, it's a great time to get in there and replace that 1920s water main. 9 Mile, Greater Mac to Jefferson is an older water main that's very problematic for us. When we get breaks on that, they're huge breaks flooding out 9 Mile. So we'd like to do that project as well as Martin, Harper to Little Mac, which has been on our list to do here for a while. So those are our capital improvement projects in water.
Mr. Karen?
Yeah, the Bond Bray. So when I looked that up in the asset management plan that no one looks at, that was actually listed that we replaced that in 2009, and it's a HDPE pipe.
There's a section of it. I think it was just that first section by the car wash.
Lines on there that had it as the same, and it was all replaced in 2009, and there's nothing else listed for Bond Bray. So is it Bond Bray or Bond here is actually far worse. That's actually should have been within the 5-year capital plan.
Yeah, I'll look into the Bond Bray. I believe there was a section that was previously done with some other EPA work. I didn't think it went 3 sections down, but maybe it did. So I'll double check into that. But the rest of it going east all the way to Jefferson, underneath the baseball fields and that's still old.
I mean, through the retention basin?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, just because again, that's not one of them that's within the 5-year plan that was in there. So I just really do question of what's the value of the plan. At least Sunnydale we're doing because got the storm sewer project going in, and I don't know, do we need to kind of move that one out of the way like we had to do with Alexander?
I believe there is a section that does have to be moved. Yeah.
Okay, so see, those type of things I can agree with. Martin was within the 5-year plan, that's fine. 9 Mile, I get there, it can spew a lot of water. That was actually 2030 in the plan. Okay, close enough. The one thing I do worry about 9 Mile is we've had, with Jefferson and gonna start to get torn up again, if that could get pushed off another year just to give 9 Mile, Jefferson businesses a break from construction, if we can just look at that, because it wouldn't be in this construction season, it's next construction season, right? That would be happening. Is it at least for them to have one break in there for a year without us having, because the Mile Road, when we did 12 Mile, that just took forever. It shouldn't have, but it did. And that's just I hate to do a 3rd straight year of construction in the 9 Jefferson area, if we can avoid it.
If that's what you want, part of the reason we put this in also is because of that new development that's going in on 9 Mile. And we did just have a water main break there over the winter in front of that, which flooded out their whole construction site. It actually made its way to a house back there.
Which new development?
The church?
There of the old,
Oh, okay.
right there. And
they're
connecting to it.
So that's why we were trying to push this one forward, is to get a brand new main in there for this business so we don't have to disrupt them, anymore.
All right. Let's look at how we can minimize
the 9 Jefferson area.
Sure.
I think it makes a good point.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It is out of the road,
It
so,
is.
but it will interrupt traffic, so.
Well, that's the thing, it takes up 1 lane of the road, and if is it on the north side of the road?
It is, yep,
So that's where we only have 1 lane right now.
It's the
So,
only lane.
yeah. Okay,
All right.
will do.
Yeah, so, but don't, yeah, let's double check the Bond Bray versus Bond here. And I left that document at home, but I'll send you the page I was looking at that had the HDPE pipe in there.
Mr. Rubello?
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point, is to give them some relief down there. They've had enough going on, so if it's possible, if there's any way to do it, they can push that off if they would. All right, I'm for that.
Okay.
The next department is sanitary sewer,
Which,
tab
41.
41. Not much change in this one. It's kind of been our standard procedure, our CIP for the sanitary sewer to go in and televise and clean a section of the city, and then we follow up the next year with repairs that are needed that we find when we go in and clean and televise. So again, we have $500,000 budgeted for TV and cleaning sanitary sewers, and then we'll follow up behind with $1 million to repair the pipes that are needed. Any questions? Next department is storm sewer.
42.
42. In storm sewer, we do have some new line items proposed. We went into a section of the city and we did a thorough inspection of the storm sewers and found out what work was needed on the manholes, the concrete around the manholes, the pipes. And then what we did is we extrapolated what we found in that one neighborhood to 7 districts throughout the city to see what, moving forward, we're going to need to be doing in each of those districts to keep the storm sewers in good condition. So we have added some line items for some construction activities, open cut repairs, lining, catch basin repairs, clean and televised sewers, and catch basin inspections. So that is one change within the storm sewer department.
Mr. Vitale?
Alger Pump Station, does that fall under storm sewer?
Yes, it does.
Okay. I don't exactly want to reveal how I know this. It wasn't with a drone. But the Alger Pump Station has a family of geese that were living on the roof who have since been evacuated, which is good. However, what I was told by the person who may or may not have done the evacuation is that roof is so shot that they wouldn't at all feel comfortable putting any weight on that roof. And they're normally a pretty brave person, especially when it comes to rescuing animals. So they're not on there anymore. The baby geese are safe. But do we have a problem with the roof at that station in terms of maintenance?
Yeah, it's interesting you brought that up. I don't know of any problems. We have no leaks or anything like that, but I have not been up on that roof for a number of years since we actually, the last time we repaired those pumps, we had to open the hatches and pull the pumps, and that was a number of years ago. So I'll definitely get up there and check it out and see what needs to be done. We are going to be doing some improvements to that pump station. We're putting a generator in, and we're also making some repairs to some of the hatches and things like that. So there is going to be some work coming up at that pump station. Might be a great time to add this in as well.
Would it be viable to just add a pitch to the roof and put a steel roof on the top of this thing instead of the old seal coat and
we can definitely
asphalt
look at it, but there are 3 hatches up there that you have to open to get the pumps out to service them. And I've got some really cool pictures I could show you if you want, but the pumps have to go straight up because they're very deep. They're like 35 feet deep, I think.
I happened to see some work going on there the other day, and yeah, it was very interesting.
We'd need the pitch roof to open up somehow, and then we'd have to open up the hatches that are in the existing roof as well. I don't know if that's a possibility. I could ask.
I don't know if it is either. It's just one more little nuisance flat roof that maybe we could try to get rid of. I don't know if we could box out with carpentry around the hatch or something like that, or add another hatch, but I don't, I just feel like any time, especially some of these little roofs that are flat, we can get rid of, and then we don't have heavy geese nesting up there anymore too, so. But, just a thought.
Mr. Karen?
Yeah, were we looking at doing an additional pump station anywhere along Jefferson?
Not that I can recall. Like a new pump station, you mean?
Yeah. Okay. Just, somebody just mentioned something, they were doing a quote for us for a new pump station. It's like, don't think it was us, but okay. All right, so in terms of because a lot of storm sewer work that you got going here, so are these going to be basically done as bidded out projects? Because this is way more than our staff will be able to do ourselves, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So basically, it'd be calling out different sections and, getting that out to bid, just to have those rehabilitated and
Yes.
relined and all that. Okay.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
And so also, if you notice in this budget, what we bring in fees, 2.7, and what we are spending, which is 3.5. It does have an $800,000 deficit. That's because we have a lot of capital. We do have the fund balance in there. So it is spending down that fund balance to be able to do these large capital projects, which is what the fund balance is for, which
sure.
is why you see in the deficit, like I said, there's a lot of these fund balances we are spending down because we're doing a lot of capital this year in our ancillary account.
The next department I have is motor pool,
43.
which is tab 43. Pretty much no changes in this department. We continue with 3 mechanics who service over 230 pieces of equipment. As far as for the DPW part of this, we do have a couple capital items. We normally run a backhoe excavator, 2 backhoe excavators in our sewer and in our water. They're out daily digging. We run 2 because one's the main frontline digging machine. The other one uses the concrete breaker and is also the backup. So, but in water department, we do not have a backup excavator. Too many backup words. So we're proposing to purchase our backup. We had to get rid of our older one. And also a step van, which is used by our water department employees over the winter time when they're doing their breaks. It houses all their tools, and the one that we have is just very, very old.
Other vehicles you'll see in here is your patrol vehicles, new balance of police vessels from the DLEF, a new narcotics vehicle, a Zamboni, an ambulance, and as Jamie mentioned, a new fire admin vehicle. So that is the rest of the motor pool funds for this year.
Mr. Vitale?
Didn't we just buy a Zamboni? Or did we not buy a Zamboni? And we're.
Not in my time. We can get to that when we get to the ice arena.
Okay.
But yeah, it is, we definitely have a lot of our Zambonis are not operational.
Maybe we discussed it and didn't buy it, but.
That was 5 years ago.
Ms. Rusi?
Oh, thank you. Given the ambulances in here, are there updates on the ambulances we have already purchased, but are still waiting on delivery of?
I will get an email out. I do believe the next one we're scheduled to receive, that is on the list that we've already purchased, is this November, and then a following one, which would be the November, I believe, after that.
Okay, yeah, if you could get the information now. I
Pretty sure it's
saw this and
November.
I kind of internally groaned thinking, I know there's a long delay on these things and we have a few outstanding already, so it would be nice to get an update on where we are with the delivery on those.
Okay, the next department is the streets department.
That's not the next one.
It's not. The streets department, as you know, handles a lot of different items. Tab
you.
31, streets.
I was gonna say, what streets?
We were on a roll there where it was just the next
Right.
one, and then, no.
So this department handles, plowing, potholes, forestry, street signs, a lot of work in the different various seasons. As everybody knows, we had one heck of a winter. It was a very busy winter for our department. We haven't plowed side streets for the last at least 2 years. I think it was 3 years ago the last time we plowed side streets. We had a couple of milder winters, but this winter we plowed them 3 times. So And we were out on our main streets 38 times, so it was a very busy winter. But we got through it, and the guys did a great job. A lot of which are newer employees, and I want to say thank you to them too. They jumped right in these trucks, got trained, and they were out there working hard for us all winter. So thank you to all, and that goes really to all the departments. We have a lot of new employees, and they're working very, very well. So. Wanted to mention last Friday, I wanted to say thank you to Councilman Karen, our city planner Liz Cotto, Jeff Brown, our DPW supervisor. They put on a Arbor Day tree planting event at the Bryce Park, and it was wonderful. It was so nice. The kids were so excited from Lakeshore High School to be out there, and we got a lot of work done. They were not afraid to work hard.
That's for sure. They do work.
Yeah, so thank you to everybody who organized that. Very nice event.
Mr. Vitale.
Just to tack on to that, I was at that event too and got to meet some of your DPW guys. Two of the younger guys I met, both Lakeview High School graduates.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
the whole high school to city job pipeline. So that's good.
It's a great thing, yeah. And a lot of guys are telling, their friends that were younger and graduating, hey, come check this out, and it's a career for these kids. And it's so nice to get them in when they're young, and, it's going very well.
Exactly.
So,
It's great to see young people getting a start on a good job.
yeah.
Mr. Rebello.
Just a question on the fire hydrants. Is it your department responsible for the
Yeah.
fire hydrants?
Yep.
Okay. How do we touch them up a little? There's some that are in like really bad shape as far as painting them.
I definitely agree, and we've been watching the paint deteriorate on them. We used to every year we'd have seasonal people come in, and in the summertime that's what they would do all summer is paint the fire hydrants. It's been a struggle to get the part-time seasonal people in to do the work. So it's been a number of years, but it's definitely on our radar, and we'll come up with a plan. Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely need it. I agree.
Let us know about it. I don't know,
Yeah.
it's just, I really notice those things, and not just the fire hydrants, but some of the barriers where cars would be driving and there's a barrier, you gotta turn left or right. Some of those are in bad shape too. So if you could eyeball those.
The metal guardrails,
The
those
metal
ones?
guardrails, yes.
Oh, yeah. Usually we wait till they get hit and then we paint them when we replace them.
I don't know, some of them are
I
in
hear
bad
ya.
shape.
Yep.
Or need to be straightened or something like that too.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay.
Yep.
I think that's
you.
it. You want to talk about utility rates?
Not yet, but I will say on the streets, as I mentioned at the very beginning of the meeting, there is a lot of street projects in here. There is a lot of spending down the fund balances. Just to hit on a few, Jefferson reconstruction from 9 Mile to Rio Vista, it's at 4.4. That 4.4 is not our complete share, that's the majority of the share, because we do plan on having the majority of this started and done. But we're not gonna be all the way through by next July. There will be some work that'll continue into next July on. So there'll be a portion that'll be in your next year's budget, but this is the majority of our fees. You'll also see underneath, state and federal grants, the federal grant of 1.68 for the tip, and then also the money that we received from Hertel for $1 million for the streetscape that we'll be able to put in on Jefferson that we talked about earlier. So you do see a lot of large projects in here, so just wanted to make sure that's what we're doing.
And just so residents know, we know how bad some of these roads are with the potholes. I mean, we're out there every day filling them in, and we're going to be addressing a lot of these in this coming budget. Jefferson and the very south side down by St. Lucy's, we're looking to fix. We know there's a lot of bad potholes down there. 11 Mile in front of Lakeview High School, and then down by Butter Run and CVS, there's some bad spots. We're going to be addressing those, so that's included in this budget.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks,
you.
Brian,
Thank
for
you.
saying that.
Your report has helped a lot,
Yep.
by the way, when we get that.
Appreciate it.
Libraries tab 38.
Yep. Stephanie Fair, Library Director. Good evening.
Stephanie Fair.
Mayor and Council, how are you?
Great.
So over the past year, as you,
He's not great.
over the past year, as you know, we have been in a renovation state for the library. We've been, remained committed to serving our community despite that. We've adapted our services and continued access, including implementing curbside services and adjusted programming to utilizing the chamber councils here for both adult and children programs so that the residents could still receive the services that they expected. As you know, with the renovation, we did a reduced budget where staff took over some of the cleaning services and some of the other reduction in our budget. So you'll see that some of the increases look a little different than last year for some of the budget lines. But as we approach the completion of the renovation upcoming, our focus is to fully reopen and our spaces and restore the services that the community expects from us. So at this time, I'd be happy to take any questions on the budget.
Ms. Rusi?
Thank you. Does the budget still reflect the operating hours that were in place prior to the onset of the construction?
It would be for the hours from 9 to 8, Monday through Thursday, Friday 9 to 5, and Saturday 9 to 5.
Okay. Would that be in the summer too, or is that going back to the Saturday closing hours?
That would still be going back to the Saturday closing hours.
I mean, I still would like us to look at and consider maybe opening on Saturdays during the summer, even half a day, 10 to 2, something along those lines. I think with especially with the fact the library's been closed for so long and the fact that the renovations are going on, and I think people will be excited to utilize the new space, especially the youth-oriented things. I mean, I have been visiting other libraries, and what we're trying to go toward is making this more of a community center type space for the young families, and the need doesn't go away in the summer. And I think people will be very excited to utilize the space if we could look at and explore keeping the library open on Saturdays, even just half a day for those families who can't get there during the week. I think that would be beneficial to the community.
I mean, that is something definitely I can take a look into to see what that would look like as far as the budget, staffing.
I would love to be able to have our library open for families during the summer on Saturdays, even, like I say, even just half a day, having the availability, because not everyone can get there during the work week. And that doesn't change in the summer.
Right.
Mr. Karen?
Thank you. Yeah, looking forward to summer, library be open, all renovated, be awesome. I think one capital thing we do have is more on the Slinsky Green Farmhouse. You know, we were attempting to get a grant, we didn't get it. We did have 25,000 this year to basically do the exterior painting. I see we've got 30,000 in for next year, but we're not gonna carry over the 25, right? Or is we're not gonna carry over the 25 from this year, we're just gonna put 30,000 in the next year budget and try to get that done this summer?
Correct. That is the way that I looked at that, yes.
Okay. And you know, and we've gotten, Stephanie, I got a bunch of information from the Historical Commission of type of paint and all
Yes,
that to
I
make
have.
sure we're following historical practices there. So we're gonna be diving into that, but that'll be the one major project for the greenhouse, for the
Sounds
Slinsky
good.
Green Farmhouse this summer.
We want to keep it historic.
Yep.
Appreciate that. Mr. Rebello?
Yeah, I'd agree if you can possibly find a way to keep it open during the summertime on Saturdays would be awesome. The other thing, I think, I talked with you, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, I had a chance to visit in there. And I just wanted to follow up with the research and the genealogy thing. And how, do you have any big plans for that? Are you going to expand maybe the services of it?
We are. So we're actually expanding the hours. The librarian that utilizes that space and helps everyone actually wants to turn that as her main place for her office too. So what will happen is, since that was already there as a staff area for her, she'll actually stay in there at all times unless she's actually working on the reference desk. So we've expanded the hours. If she's in there, she's going to have the door open. So the only time that you might not see her is if she's at lunch or, like I said, working the adult service reference desk. we're also taking appointments so that she can book stuff as people need as well.
Because I think that those types of things bring faces, new faces into the library.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you had a chance, we talked a little bit about the, like the sort of the family research thing and delving a little bit deeper into, maybe what they do like in Salt Lake City and things of that nature. So, that's still in the back of my head anyways.
Yeah, of
to
course.
Sort of expand that.
I did let Heidi know, she is the archivist and librarian over that space, to kind of take a look into it and see what could be offered. So she is researching that right now.
For anyone that might be listening, I mean, these are like really deep dives into family history and family research. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Stephanie, thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great evening.
You as well.
Parks and Rec. Rob Spinazzola.
25.
Casual tonight.
Hi.
God bless you.
Just as last year, we'll go department by department. I'll highlight any notable changes, and then each supervisor is going to join me with their department in case you got super specific questions. So I'll start with Rec Admin. You didn't give me the big binder this year, so you're going to have to tell them the tab numbers.
25, Candace already did.
There you go.
It's already ahead of you.
So year over year, it's just a 4.3% increase. Bulk of that increase is the credit card charges to better reflect what we've been putting against our budget. That'll be offset, though, with the revenue on the other side. And you also see an increase in staff wages. Most of that's going to be due to minimum wage going up again by January 1st of next year. Any questions on 752?
Lucy.
Thank you. One of the goals I really appreciate seeing is he introduced our First Ladies and Little Gentlemen event. So it's like a mother-son type event.
Yep. So we're going to, actually, we're working with the VFW right now to possibly host it over there. We're looking at maybe October for something like that.
It's good because I know I've been a frequent participant of the daddy-daughter dance and seeing how much the families appreciate that. I have heard from some people that they would like to see a mother-son type component to that, so that's cool. I know we've tried that before in the past, and it really wasn't successful, but it's been a long time, so I'm glad we're going to try that again and see if there's the desire out there for to make that type of event successful.
Yep. Of
Happy
course,
to
yep,
see
we've
that.
gotten the same feedback, so.
And partnering with the VFW and other local organizations is a great thing too.
Mr. Karen?
Thank you. Yeah, more for Dustin. Probably could have brought this up earlier, but I know we got ASME and PEA negotiations going on now. Did you put placeholders in the budget for the impacts of those contracts as well?
So we did, so not to.
Don't need to get into numbers or anything, but just are the placeholders
There's
there?
a small placeholder in there, not for, because obviously we wanted to have negotiations. So there's a small placeholder in there, but the contracts, I tell you, GELC, which was the former ASME, we did get a tentative agreement signed last week. We are getting ready to start PEA. We're also doing the court and clerical. And then we also have which somebody brought up earlier, the crossing guards. We have a meeting already set up with them as well. So
Okay.
there is a small in there.
Small placeholder, but there could
Yes.
be an impact later.
Correct.
Okay.
Continue.
All right, we'll go over to the events budget now. So I'll have Henry Bowman come on up and join me. So no major changes really to this budget. We did some changing around of the accounts last year. All these events that'll run through Parks and Rec will fall under P&R special activities. Only exceptions are going to be Aqua Freeze and Farmers Market. That's just due to the nature of how large those accounts are. So we've kept them separate. Fireworks, Halloween, tree lighting, special activities will fall under the Activities Committee. We work in conjunction with them to put those events on. And, as always, we try to offset some of these event costs with sponsorships and fees. As Candace already had pointed out, Councilwoman Rusi said that we're going to be introducing a Ladies and Little Gents event. And then we're also planning to try and bring back the overnight camp out at Memorial Park.
Nice.
Very cool.
Mr. Rebello?
You don't mind if there's been some talk of having like a disc golf fundraiser championship, because I don't think it's ever been used for a fundraiser. Is there anything that we have to do through your department to do it?
Yeah, I mean, I would have whoever wants to do this to contact our department. That way we can give proper notice to anybody that goes up and uses the
I
park.
mean, I think it's actually a good idea for the Parks and Rec Department to do it for like a special needs fundraiser or something like that. But, okay.
Yeah, we would like to probably put an A-frame out that just says course is going to be occupied during these times for a fundraiser.
Sure.
But yeah.
Thanks, Mayor.
And one thing, Mr. Spinizzola did mention here too, that is a change, is we did take all the committees and remove them from the events. The committees now have their own separate accounts, their own separate tab.
Yep.
So we have that all documented, so the committees are being handled a little bit differently now. You'll see a transfer out for the 56,000 into those committees, and then every committee will have their fund balance along with their expenses and revenue each year.
Yep.
So that's a big difference, so it's outside of the funds now.
Continue.
We'll go to Ice Arena now.
Ice.
So
26.
you're going to see an overall decrease in this budget, but that's due to the removal of the garden restroom capital item. Temp labor is increased due to the higher minimum wage. Also, another increase was consumers, and we just based that on year-to-year usage. The capital that we do have in for the arena does fall under the motor pool budget. It is for a new Zamboni. 3 of the 4 Zambonis that we do have are over 15 years old. They're on a constant rotation over at the motor pool garage. We try to put as much attention to them as we can. They are getting harder. The 2 oldest ones are getting harder to work on. So based on conversations I had with Sean and Brandon about those machines, we felt it was necessary that we put one in. Potentially, sometimes those machines are a year out from the time you order, so we want to be prepared for that.
Mr. Vitale.
So when was our most recent replacement? Because I swear we've discussed this.
2021.
Okay, so in 21, we did buy a new one.
Yep. So
Okay.
they were 2021, 2008 was the last time before that, 2005 before that, and then we still have one from 1999 that we're nursing along. So we kind of got out of a rotation there in those middle years.
Mr. Karen?
Yeah, and just Brandon said that the one that's 27 years old is almost ready for a pension.
It's due.
Yeah, no,
It's ready to retire.
Yeah, the fleet is old, and you definitely need 2 functional ones. You know, one for each rink to keep everything fully operational, so yeah.
Maybe that can be the parade version.
Or that might have been the one they just decorated a few years ago.
I'm thinking it is.
Of course, we always like to see it in the parade.
We can make that happen, as we have before. So.
Mr. Vitale?
You know, that kind of jogged my memory on something. Is there a potential revenue opportunity to advertise on the Zambonis?
So I'm actually I've been looking into that in the last month or so. I'm waiting on some pricing to come back from someone to do wraps on Zambonis. We're also looking into the board advertisements again. Those are a little bit more finicky, though. They take a little bit more attention as hockey players play and rub against the boards. So I'm a little leery with those, but I have looked into the wrapping. I've actually talked to Mount Clemens Ice Arena, who also does a program like that. So I do have some research into that right now.
Go ahead and look into wrapping, but I wouldn't limit yourself to that necessarily. You know, flat signs are easy to change out and probably less expensive. So, you know, if we don't get somebody that wants to pony up probably thousands of dollars for a wrap versus a few hundred for just a flat sign, you know, just keep both options open, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I can look into other ways that arenas have been creative in doing advertisements. But yeah, definitely something we've looked into.
Maybe even like an LED board or something like that. You could have motion on the sign, just a thought.
One thing I did see at another arena, and I would love to try it, but we'll see. They bought 4 really large televisions and put them in one of the corners of the arena and bought the device to make them all go together. So it looks like a big kind of one TV screen up in the corner there. So I thought that was something that was pretty creative. That I would like to look into with our building maintenance team, potentially.
Good idea.
Knox has that.
Yes, similar to that.
Continue.
We'll go to boating. So Jason, I'll have you come on up.
27. We're going to follow along here for a while where this goes in order.
Yeah, so the boating budget for this year, you'll see an increase. Largest increase is in wages to accommodate for that minimum wage and the reopening of the 9 Mile ramp. So there's a bigger jump there just because of that. Other than that, we kept the potential dredging cost in there. It's really hard to figure out that placeholder number. You know, some years the 90,000 was enough. Obviously, this past year wasn't. But we did leave it in there just because. So, any questions on the boating budget?
Mr. Frederick?
So are we sold out with the wells?
Blossom Heath is sold out, and Loch St. Clair, you got last, so we got 24-foot wells, we got 17 of those left, and 22 of the 28-footers,
Okay.
which is about where we're usually at this time of year.
Do you anticipate it being sold out? Like,
You probably speak a little better to that.
Yeah, usually by July 1st, they're pretty much gone.
okay.
Yeah.
And the only
It's
reason.
usually tax season. People get their refunds
There
back
you go,
this
they
side.
can pay the bill, right? The only reason I'm asking is, and I know everybody up here has gotten notes from marina owners who view us as a competitor and an underpriced competitor. And I actually had, I got like 3 or 4 notes from different marinas around the area that, not just St. Clair Shores, where they showed us their pricing and all that. And we're significantly cheaper than a lot of the marinas in town. And I'm just wondering if there is a way to take a look at that so that, I mean, I feel like, you know, they're paying taxes and then we're, you know, sort of ultra competing with them. There's sort of a dichotomy there of thinking. And especially at Blossom Heath, if we're sold out there, if you're sold out, you're not charging enough, right? And I hate to say that because we all love boating. We love that area. Dave, you might have to pay a little more. I'm just saying that might be a way to, generate some revenue.
And we did raise it this past year. Now it's not an astounding amount of money, but $100
Yeah, I
per well.
know.
We try to be as cautious when we go into raising prices on our, our amenities. But we can certainly look into all of that.
Just so that we're closer. And then I know that some of the marinas, I guess the ad that we put out had, not only do you get a boat well, but you get a pool pass and you get a slide pass and all of that stuff. And I know in the past, we've worked it out with some of the marinas to try and make that available to them as a way to sort of ease the pain a little bit, that if they came over there, they could use it, or maybe even if they're not a resident, whatever it was. I know you've done that in the past, and
Have we? I don't,
Did that?
no.
I'm not aware
We don't
of
do that.
that.
I don't,
How with other marinas?
I want to say we did that maybe 10 years ago.
I think
possibly.
maybe we might have
We
did
did.
it with Blossom Heath.
We did do it.
I don't recall. I mean, I can go back and, our old advertisements and take a look, but I don't recall us partnering with another marina or harbor to allow them to use our facility.
Yes, I mean, not to get in an argument here, but we start allowing these marinas to start opening up, that affects the residents of this community who use the pool. And then we start raising boats for the community who service it. I understand that there are complaints, but none of us are up here. This thing was built in the 90s. It's almost 30 years behind. I don't feel like I want to penalize residents of this community for marina owners, and some of them who have bought recently know the situation. Maybe they shouldn't have bought if they didn't like to buy, but to come in here and buy stuff and then say, you know what, you got to raise your rates because they're too low. To me, we're penalizing people who live in this community, and that's what it was built for back in the late 90s. So I'm a no.
Well, I would say just look at it. Let's see, there's got to be a line where it crosses somewhere where it makes sense, so.
Mr. Rubello.
I know you've heard this before, Rob. I just, I'm looking down here at the goals and the safe and secure harbor. Just to reiterate, trying to light up a little bit more on the pier to, not only for boats, but there's people out there on jet skis, there's people out there on snowmobiles and things like that. So just sort of keep that. I don't know. It's just stuck in my head for some reason.
Yep, I got 4 new lights on order.
Oh, okay, wonderful, Rob.
And they'll be blue, so they'll stand out
Okay.
from the white. So we're hoping that spacing those along the pier is more identifiable.
Yeah, sometimes those white lights just blend into the house lights on the shore. And I guess the second one I wanted to talk about is, this is maybe more of a wish list type of thing. To have a camera on the pier, maybe on that little gazebo thing that's out on the pier, so people who maybe want to go boating will, look at what we have like online on our St. Clair Shores website, and maybe that'll draw more people too once they're on there. But
Don't we have that?
We do.
It
Yeah,
was
we have
aimed
a
at the
live
water.
webcam.
Did what?
It got aimed at the water.
Well, we had one.
Well, yeah, we have one. We'll have to take a look and readjust it.
No, it's like right down at the water.
Yeah, we need to.
Not out at the water, down at the water.
Yeah.
Because at one point,
we know it's wet now.
There's a reason for it.
It points out to the north.
to have it, I think what Councilman Rebella was referring to, and then
Yes.
it looked like, right, you could see if it was rough or et cetera, correct?
Yes,
Jason?
we have it
had
out. We have
that.
it out there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we've had this.
You know,
but I-
oftentimes it gets moved because of weather. So if
Should look
it's
at that.
pointing
Okay.
down, we'll get out there and
That
we'll
draws
adjust
people
it.
to the website too.
That seems
Okay.
out in the
Oh,
water.
really?
Just
Okay.
looking at it.
we gotta fix it.
Okay.
No, but there's 2 different reasons apparently. That requires discussion.
Why there's cameras all over there, but there's
Yep.
a reason why there's one pointed right at the water, and it's he's got a reason for it, and I can't even think of it right now because I have a major headache, but, it's to see
These
what the weather.
budget seasons do that, yes.
People online can see if it's rough
Okay.
waters or.
Well, that's what he was looking for, right?
Yeah.
Right, that's true,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Right.
And we
Put
can
that
send
in
you
the
we'll get
I
it
did not
adjusted and
know
we'll send you the
category,
link.
'cause I would look at that. All right. Let's maybe promote
Online,
it more.
get it
Looking for
online right
readers.
now.
Huh?
Really? Yeah, you can see it.
Mr. Vitale.
That helps.
So one point to Ron's side of this and one point to something that Kit mentioned. Do we have a resident versus non-resident boat slip rate?
Yes.
Yes, we do.
Okay, well, that's good to hear, because I have been told that our rates are really low cost, not by marina owners in this instance, but by out-of-town people who use our marina wells, which is great, because we want to get people down here to St. Clair Shores, come spend money in the businesses and et cetera. But to Kip's point, it was originally done to serve residents. So I guess as long as we've got that differentiated cost structure, maybe we can look at maybe raising the rates on the non-resident side a little bit. Did we do the same $100 increase on both?
We
or-
did this year, but we actually, for the last, I believe, 2 years, or it might be every other year now, we have adjusted the rates upwards. So 2 out of the last 3 years, for sure, we have raised the rates. And it might be 3 years in a row. I have to go back and look, but it's definitely been 2 of 3.
And then we do have, when we have a vacancy, then we do have what? Do we leave it a month or some period where then it can be a St. Clair Shores, right? Like, if it comes up, it's right. They have the first chance to get back in there, correct?
Right.
I mean, 'cause we started getting non-residents when we couldn't get St. Clair Shores residents, but that's changed.
Right.
Yeah, so well owners obviously get their first chance, and then once we've exhausted that list, we've had a waiting list, we exhaust the waiting list, and then it opens up to all newcomers.
Oh, yes, Mr. Rebel.
Just one more thing, and I don't know if this might be a long-term, revenue earner, but Rob, I don't know if it's like the last 10 or 15 boat slips at Blossom Heath. If we could extend, look into extending the water system where those last 10 or 15, I don't know, in the long term, might not be, right away, but maybe in the long term, those boat slips you can, charge more money for, Jason, because they don't have a water source, so we don't charge as much. So.
But I understand your point, but when it was tore up, I don't remember. We chose not to do this. I mean, I'm not, I don't want to, I think it's too
I'd
late
have to go
almost.
back and look at that process. I wasn't
Huh?
part of the design at that point, so I don't want to speak on it exactly either,
There
but
was
I don't know if
something,
there
right?
was
Well,
a
'cause we
specific
we
reason.
didn't drop the line in when it was all open, and then we paved it all. I mean, remember?
Okay, I didn't know if, maybe in the long term, if it works out in our favor.
We can do a little research to see why that might have been.
Okay.
Just, Mr. Frederick.
No,
Oh, I guess we're good.
Okay, we'll move on to the pool budget. Couple small changes in that one. We increased our items for resale, and with that, though, we increased the revenue to reflect that. We reduced our services, but we did increase our repair and maintenance to reflect that reduction. There's no capital in here per se. However, we have discussed at the budget study session that we need to do a bathhouse renovation. It's currently in the design stage, and if all goes well, we want to break ground the day after the pool closes. So that's kind of the timeline that we're trying to work for.
I think I want to just go back. I mean, Blossom Heath, the parking lot there is starting, there's issues, especially that back by the house there, the guard shack. I mean, don't you think, Jay? I mean, it's starting to decline.
Yeah, the area where there is a concern, Mayor, like where the pedestrians all enter the park there.
Yes.
It's a concern that probably should be addressed prior to the rest of the parking lot being addressed, because so many people from the public walk in and out of the park there.
Yes.
And Mr. Babcock's been really good about coming this spring and even pothole patching. And I did alert Mrs. Pike about some of even the cracks that are forming in the new roadway down to the pier for some possible crack sealing before it gets worse. So
two things on that. I mean, you did the pool here where you did small sections. I mean, maybe that, right, this part, the pool parking lot, maybe that's something to think about there. And then to Rob, I know he's going to fill in cracks over at pickleball and Memorial, right? So maybe you piggyback all of that in there, because they're coming out. I didn't know if you were aware that we've got some issues with pickleball and cracking, and so we have to have that taken care of.
yeah,
Yes.
that
The
one
ones that
section
sit-
right by the
big
guard
ones.
booth is really bad.
Yes. Mr. Vitale.
Again, more of a policy thing and actually not limited to DPW, it does seem, and this kind of jogged my thought process on this, that we do have a lot of infrastructure in the city that's blacktop, and it seems to be like we put blacktop down and walk away from it for 20 years. Doesn't seem like we crack fill and seal coat, not just DPW, but basically anything the city owns that's made of blacktop. We probably holistically should start looking at how we extend the life of all our asphalt surfaces. Like I even noticed that, I know we're talking about right now potentially putting concrete in at Prize. And, I really walked it good on the Arbor Day thing, and I'm like, yes, this is fairly new, shouldn't have all these cracks and things like that, but, maybe if we filled it and seal coated it, maybe that's the worst of it. I don't know. But it's like I said, it seems like we do asphalt and we walk away from it. Asphalt requires maintenance.
And I piggyback, Mr. Vitale said, maybe we go out to bid and have a 3-year contract with unit prices, and then we have someone ready to go to do some type of this work that we have done. Huh?
Good idea.
So we have in the budget, those under the municipal streets fund, that we kind of just went over quickly. But there is the crack seal at Memorial that we have in the budget for this year coming up. So we do look at those. I mean, like I said, at least now, it's something that we are looking at. So it is in there, and maybe that, as part of that, Mayor, we can ask them, say, hey, here's your project for this year, but can you give us prices for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, if they're willing. But we do have a project in here for asphalt this year.
Was that the walking path?
No, at the parking lot.
Parking lot?
Parking lot at
Parking lot's
Memorial.
good.
It's starting to get, same thing,
Yeah.
it's an asphalt parking lot, it's starting to get some cracks in it.
Okay, well,
so
I'm
this
glad
is-
we're on top of
Yeah.
at least one of them.
Yep.
But probably should
Yes.
look at more of them.
Mr. Frederick.
Mr. Ron Frederick.
Yes.
So, Jason, I love what you do with the pool. How are we doing with lifeguards this year?
We were done hiring by the 1st of March.
Nice,
So,
nice.
Yeah.
And I know that you guys were doing lifeguard training too, right? Or trained a trainer of the lifeguards, right?
Right. So last year, after the new pump house was built, we now spin up the pool a little bit early, which is better to get our health inspection done, which is tomorrow.
Nice.
And then Saturday, we start classes. And what we're doing is we offer lifeguard recertification classes for anybody in the state that needs it. We have people driving from Alpena and Petoskey.
Wow.
To take these classes because they need them before Memorial Weekend. And we charge a fee for that. Then we also host regular lifeguard classes. And then we host, like myself, I'm an LGI. We train LGIs, which are people that can train lifeguards.
Right.
So all of that last year in May brought in 10,000 in revenue. And this year we're set to surpass that with
great.
just the classes we're offering to outside groups. So we're using our certifications to bring in more revenue.
That's good stuff, Jason.
Good to hear.
Thank you.
I can't wait to start.
And so have you heard from it?
And Rod wanted me to mention, we're doing one thing that no other communities take part in. The Red Cross offers a program for junior lifeguarding, where the kids get to experience from age 12 to 14, because you can't be a lifeguard till you're 15, 12 to 14. They'll go through all the skills in a 2-week, basically, summer camp at the pool every day to learn the skills of a lifeguard. They'll get certified in CPR and first aid. And then when it comes time to take the lifeguarding class, Mrs. Rusi reached out to me, and I agreed with her. We need to look at, if they came to our program, maybe offering them a reduced rate on the actual full class later down the line when they decide to take it. So it also will help us build a rotation of young people in our community that want to take those jobs in the future. So
That's a great pipeline. Awesome pipeline. So how many other pools have reached out to you and said, hey, you got any extra lifeguards? I bet. Nice job.
I think I know what it's about.
Thank you.
So we'll move on to the parks budget. It is a slight decrease from last year, but that's attributed to not having capital in the budget. Just as the other ones, you'll see an increase in the temp budget just because of the increase in minimum wage. We did increase the OT budget to better reflect what we've been using in prior years. No real large line item changes for the parks budget. Small increases to items for resale, supplies in our playground program, and consumers. Try to keep everything as close to last year's budget as possible. And if there's any questions.
Ms. Rusi?
Just want to keep up with the playground subcommittee on moving forward with developing ideas for the tot lot and how to fund it, so.
Yeah, so.
It's probably a little premature to put a line items or anything in the budget, but just wanted to.
Sure. So after we kind of had that initial conversation, I've been talking with Sinclair Recreation because they've been great with us with the kite project. And I've talked to other communities, and they're working with a lot of people in this local area, and everybody's been super happy with them. They gave me a range of tot lot projects that they've done all the way from $100,000 up to $300,000. So as we kind of get into that further about whether we're going to move forward, we can narrow down the size of the lot and how much we want to spend on something like that.
Right, yeah, I think it's a little premature to put that in the budget right now, but I just wanted to make people aware that was something we've been discussing and could be coming in the future, and something to look forward to, hopefully. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
You said a lot, Tom.
It's the quietest Mr. Mel's been.
Right? I've never heard him
Ever.
be quiet.
Matt, come on up.
And it went so smooth.
That's the way to do it.
So senior center, I don't know, what, tab 30.
Next one.
No real line item changes here either. The budget's largely dictated by CDBG, SMART, and USDA funding. We were able to move some staffing allocations into different funding mechanisms, so you'll see that reflected in the budget. Mainly those things were allocated back into the CDBG funds. They're not reflected in our budget, but it's reflected back in the CDBG budget now. Bocce court project, started this past weekend, I believe, and there is no new capital in there. So any questions for myself or Matt?
Mr. Rebello.
Not it's just a comment. Guy on your left there, Robert, you do an incredible job with that center. You are juggling all kinds of things over there. It is a very active community center, and I see what you do firsthand, and it's amazing, and I don't know what else you possibly could do unless you duplicated yourself. And you have great staff over there, and you got great parties, and, you know, too bad that we don't have that little activity book that we put out, because that speaks for itself. Matt, you do a great job.
Thank you. I'm very proud of the center as a whole.
Yeah.
I think we all come together and make it happen.
Like I said before, that thing should say, community center on there, because that's what's going on, from baseball games to plays to activities to card games, you name it.
We just had the Detroit Opera there last week.
I
which
know
was
you did.
Wonderful. Just to toot our own horn a little bit, we went up from 56,000 people coming through the door in 2024 up to 59,634 this past year. So it's great to see that increase, that people are utilizing what we have to offer. So proud to say that
I thought
we're just busy.
you were pretty good.
Mr. Karen?
Thank you. Yeah, Matt, always a great job what you do over there. The one thing, I don't know if it tends to jump around year to year, but replacing the exercise equipment. We normally have a few pieces that need to get replaced every year. I don't know if it's under one of the repair line items or where do we cover that now?
Last year, we kind of redesigned, I guess by finance rule, some things didn't fall under capital items because they didn't exceed 10,000. So we did move it. I do think it's in the repairs and maintenance section now.
But we do have regular replacement equipment, because every year you're gonna need something, and want to make sure that that is in your budget and that you've got that plan.
Yeah, and we're always trying to juggle, is it worth the repair or replacement? And that's something we're always looking at. So we just replaced the treadmill, I think, in the past few months. And we have a new rowing machine. We're trying to adjust to what people want. A couple years ago, we added another new step and got rid of one of the taller bikes because those weren't being used. So we try to listen and adjust from there.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Rusi.
Thank you. What's the current membership number?
We are holding steady at 2,200, which I think we were at about the same last year.
Okay, and I know there's been attempts to increase memberships and to get out there in the community, so thank you for continuing to do that. Do you know what the breakdown between residents and non-residents is, just out
It's
of
about
curiosity?
75% resident, 15% outside of the city. And of course, surrounding cities, Grosse Pointe,
Where's the
East
rest
Point.
of them?
Right.
He's not a math major.
85%.
Oh, I'm sorry, 25%. That was a bad
Thank you.
math.
I was like, what else is there? It's a pretty binary thing. Resident versus non-resident.
I think so.
Okay, very good. Well, thank you for everything you do in the community. It's nice to see the increase of diversity and offerings too. There's something for everybody over there.
Thank you. We're always open. We try to reach out to whoever reaches out to us. You know, what do you have to offer? What can we do? How can we fit in our schedule? You know, we only have so much room, so we're always juggling that too.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Frederick.
What's the time frame on the bocce courts, do we know?
The demolition should be completed in the next 2 weeks, he said. And then we're waiting on a final completion date. I think he was waiting to order something. Is that right, Rob?
Yeah, just because of contract documents, we did have to move back the completion date a little bit. It's not extreme, but it's probably a week or two from what we originally were told.
Okay. That's good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bissett? Golf budget, as I said before, similar to other budgets, there's an increase
39.
to the wages. We are offsetting credit card fees in this budget as well with a new revenue account. New in the budget this year is the golf cart path reimbursement that's paid back to the general fund. We do have one small capital item in here for this year, and it's going to be for, to paint the outside of the clubhouse and the pro shop. It was painted last probably 10 years ago. A lot of old wood on that building, so it tends to rot a little quicker. And that's it.
Ms. Rusi?
Okay, thank you. Looking at the goals, I see things like install new rubber flooring, remove 3 weather shelters with a new shelter, rebuild, re-level, new catch basins, new signage, rebuilding a bunker and fixing bunker drainage holes. So are those not reflected in the capital? Those are more like repair maintenance type things?
Yeah, so most all of those will be, as we go through the budget season, we'll kind of layer them, right, and say what's priority. And as we use our budget, we'll figure out if we have enough to do some of those projects.
Okay.
Now, I know for on-the-course stuff, and I'll let Jeff talk a little bit about it, but it is built into that baked-in repair and maintenance number that we already have in supplies.
And I guess piggyback off that a little bit as well, because the golf course now is its own satellite fund, and it has to be able to break even. And one of the big aspects of that is golf is very, very dependent on weather. So for example, even this year, we did not have a good weather in winter. There was many times in the past where we would have a few days that they would go, open up the golf course, you could get out there. Same thing even this spring. This spring so far has been a very wet, cold spring where normally we're able to capitalize a little bit. So a lot of these projects, you know, we play very conservative on what kind of revenue we're gonna bring in. And if we end up having great weather and the revenue is doing well, then like Mr. Spinazzola mentioned, we'll look at it and then we'll come to council and we'll ask for a budget amendment because we have the budget to do it. But we don't want to budget these items in there and pretend that we're going to make X amount of dollars. when
Right,
we really
I
don't know.
understand how it can be difficult to project given it's very weather dependent.
Very.
You just don't know. It's just a little confusing. Sometimes you see things listed as goals, but you don't see the funding put forward to help achieve those goals. And you'll keep us updated on that as the season goes. I just don't want any capital surprises like we've had in the past.
No.
And that's kind of why they put them in as goals and I didn't put them in as capital items, was because there wasn't no funding for them. And I think both of them actually was like, I want a new bunker gear, I want this. I'm
Right,
like,
but
well, we
again,
can't
we're
afford it right now.
Putting it forward as goals along with things are more it seems like every department takes a different perspective on what a goal is. From the fire department saying, oh, we're only putting things in here we can achieve
Correct.
in the department versus something that requires outside funding, to seeing things are listed as goals that you can see the relevant line items reflected within the goal of how these things will be financially achieved to. Things are basically at this point a wish list, dependent upon when the money's coming in, but we don't have that reflected within the budget. Maybe some consistification would be nice, because as a reader of this, I'm always looking, well, if it's listed as a goal, I need to see the line item. Well, there's not, but maybe instead of calling it a goal, given the contingent nature of this department specifically, maybe we could do something different in how it's reflected next. Yeah, wish list. Yeah, what I mean, just I always try to look, if you're saying something's a goal, I want to see the money for it accounted for in the budget book. If it's not there, how can it be a goal? And I understand this department's a little bit different, maybe just saying it forward a little bit differently in upcoming budgets would be a little bit easier as a reader.
One thing I do want to point out that we did have as a goal in here was to work together to get new carpet installed inside of the clubhouse. Cranks went ahead and did that project all on their own. We did not.
And I didn't do that when I didn't do the water cooler stations donate. I didn't reflect those with my little question mark, because I saw it was a donation. So versus something work together, a donation, things like that don't necessarily need to be reflected. But unless we're talking about people donating weather shelters, that would be something we'd have to find a way to fund it.
And a lot of these would be done in-house.
Okay.
We would basically just take the labor on it and maybe a couple items with some of them are assistance from DPW also for some of the drainage projects and that, so.
Right. I know the departments work together, but, okay. I just don't want any capital surprises again.
Understood.
Mr. Vitale?
Well, my question was going to actually springboard off of the new carpet install in restaurant. You said that's done. How long does Cranks have left on their contract with the city, their lease?
I think it's about 3 years
Left?
left. Seems like it was yesterday, but
Yeah, it's
I
10
believe
years.
the contract
It
started
seems
in.
like it was a long time ago.
No, it seems like it was a long time ago,
Yeah,
actually.
For me, it seems this has gone quick, but I think their contract started in 2018. I'll have to go back and look
Had a
on that
really
number.
long, you know, I don't
They
know
had
if it
10
was
years.
Blossom Heath. Okay, so we did 10 years.
Yes.
Because I was thinking Blossom Heath, I didn't know that was the same with Cranks, but.
Yes.
Okay, and that was all on their dime?
That was all on their dime.
I guess there's not much I can say about that.
No, they've put a lot of work in it over the last couple of
thank you.
years.
They have, yeah,
Yeah.
they've done a lot of
The year
work over
before
there.
that, they put the new TVs and repainted everything, so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, is the brick program still going on?
The what?
The brick program there?
A little bit. I mean, the question was, is the brick program? And the answer is yes, because Mr. Crippen is able to secure, for a while there, he had to get about 50 bricks, but he has someone, I think, found someone locally that'll do a brick, so I think they can do now down to maybe a 5 or a 10 person, you know, and so it can get it done, so
The
yes.
shift that was bought like a year ago
Pardon me?
installed, the
Yeah.
little ones that were bought after the initial installation, have those been installed?
Yes, they have. I believe they have, yes.
Okay, cool, I'll have to take my nephew
Pardon
out
me?
then. I have his name on one of them.
Last fall, they were installed, yes.
Very good.
Yes. But now he has, but it was before he had to have about 50 or something like that, but he's able to find someone now that he could do 5 or 10, Mr. Bello.
Very good.
All right.
General government.
All right, we're gonna just start, I'm just gonna start down the list, the ones that haven't been hit. So council will be the first one. As you guys can see, it's relatively flat, just the small increase of wages that went to council and mayor. Please just stop me, 'cause I'm just gonna keep going. If you have any questions at all, just let me know. 5 is the boards and commissions. This is more of the legislative side of the boards. You can kind of see the fees. Once again, there has been some things that have been moved that you'll see later on into their own accounts. But this is the legislative. This is all of the meeting minutes from all of our individuals who come, show up to the meetings, take the minutes. These are our full-time staff. This also does have the Zelensky greenhouse, $30,000 in it. So that's the big purchase here, yes.
Yep, and about the wages, we are working at the subcommittee boards and commissions on an ordinance amendment that will allow us to look at and discuss these. So, like it was brought up in January, I think, we're in the process of working on an ordinance to come back to council to give us flexibility in terms of looking at these and potentially raising them, given some haven't been raised or ever. I think they've been very flat for decades, so. But these reflect the current rate, correct?
Current rates.
Okay, so that will be coming up in a couple of months, and we can have discussions at that point.
Mayor Pro Tem Braun. All right.
Go ahead, Dave.
Obviously, I'm looking on here, the parade revenue, that is, we put that on a different sheet, okay?
That's gonna be under the committees. So moving on to 7, city manager. As you can see, this report, just like a lot of ours, no capital, just kind of stay status quo. Any questions? Next will be
I can't
the
turn the
city-
page that fast, so.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Next will be
Go
tab
ahead,
8, city clerk. Once again, you'll see underneath revenue, similar as last year. Underneath the clerk's expenses, negligible increases just with the cost of wage increases and fringe benefits. Moving on to elections. Elections, you will see this did increase. This year, we're gonna have a larger election. We have the governor's race, so anytime we have a bigger election, we do have more money that is spent on poll workers and part-time wages and the wages for elections.
John?
Abby, in terms of elections, any changes from the state coming in this year that could drive up some of the more costs than we've had in the past?
Cost-wise, no, but they are going to be revamping some of the software that we're using. And then we are looking at the bids for new equipment. Macomb County will do the bidding, but I don't see that in this fiscal year.
Okay.
10, insurance. Said it's kind of status quo. 11 will be finance. John is here. I'll let John actually do the quick reporting.
Again, there's no capital, it's status quo, slight increase in wages, slight increase from last year.
Assessing. Next tab. Assessing.
Hang on. We're past it.
Sorry.
Chris?
I was just going to ask a question about the, one of the items in finance about the relationship with First State and being able to obtain more money and additional interest. Was that it wasn't the overnight accounts, because I don't think that was with First State Bank, was it?
Yeah, it's with all our deposit accounts, so we have several accounts with First State. Our TIFA has its own bank account. We have a payroll account. We have a accounts payable account. So all of our deposit accounts, our overnight money is earning, right now it's like 3.5%. It was 4.25.
That's great.
When we first got it, so.
Well, it's probably
But we
nothing
have
before
less-
we started doing that, so.
0.03.
Yeah, now we have less money on hand because we've spent a lot on, the construction projects and everything. So we've moved our money that we've kept with Huntington for ARPA. We moved that over to First State and spent that. So our overall cash balance is going down a little bit because of the project. So, but we should be realizing some decent interest income.
Is that their, that almost is their CD rate, really, when you think about it?
It's
like the highest-
it's what they're making in overnight money in treasuries. So it's basically the
So that's a
treasury rate.
That's a good deal.
Yeah.
That's a good deal, Dave.
John, since you just completed your first year about, has
Yep.
that been, what was your take on your first year here in St. Clair Shores? What's your major thing that you were into the most?
There's challenges. The budget is very, very tight, especially this year. Like we talked about, there's no capital in it at all, other than vehicle purchases, which come out of the motor pool fund. So it's pretty tight. There's not a lot of conservatism in here, right? There's not a lot of padding. So if expenses go up and revenue doesn't come in, we could, potentially have problems maybe in the future. But I think overall it's a balanced budget. And then the finance department as a whole, we've had bank reconciliation issues, and the auditors pointed that out. So we're still somewhat struggling with that. So just my department as a whole, and then we also have a retirement coming up of a long-time person within the department. So that's going to be some big shoes to fill. So there's another challenge coming up. So.
I want to piggyback off that a little bit as well, too. So the retirement he's talking about is Sue. Sue's been with the city for 27 years?
I think 27, yeah.
27 years. So she's been, since I've been here, she's just like, I'm going to retire, and just kept hanging on, which we're very grateful that she has hung on. But she's finally decided that she is going to retire. We have had a lot of turnover as John, but I will say one of the big assets of bringing John on is a modernization. He has really tried to slowly, as you guys know, change is difficult, especially going through some of the changes in departments that have individuals who have been here with a lot of longevity, trying to get procedures and protocols and everything updated. It's been a challenge. I know it has been. We talked quite a bit, but John has done a good job managing those waters and trying to really simplify things and make things smoother over there. And I think that, we're going to continue on that approach. And one of the things with as he mentioned, with the auditor said, it's the nuances and the entanglements that we have with a lot of our accounts that John is slowly starting to entangle. So it's an easier aspect to do, but right now it's very convoluted and takes a lot of time.
So I remember when you sort of first got here, I think it was last year, maybe at the budget thing, you were talking about, there was the issue with the, there was a deficit of some kind with the police and fire, and that sort of played itself out with the,
With the police and fire millage?
yeah.
Yes, yeah, so right now we have a positive fund balance, so.
Okay.
We'd like to keep a little bit in there, so.
There was
right
like
now
something I
it's-
thought you were talking about, it was like sort of misclassified and a different thing, and that sort of played itself out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Vitale?
Well, then I'm just gonna take this opportunity to compliment both, you, John, and Dustin, because I do remember when you were hired, when we had that position available, there were other applicants, and Dustin didn't feel as strong about any of them as he did with you, and he appears to have made the right decision. So compliment to
Thank
you
you,
both.
thank you.
So we're gonna move on to assessing. Assessing, same thing, wage increase and fringe benefits, is the big target here.
Ms. Rusi?
Oh, thank you. Just a couple questions on your performance measures. There's a 0 for 2025 calendar year for properties visited and a blank for administrative homestead denials for sins. I would assume there should be data filled in for both of those, given calendar year 24 and the projected year.
Yeah, I'll find out what had happened there.
Okay.
So the 0 underneath, I see it under the calendar year 2025, under
Yeah,
properties
for a
visited.
properties visit for inspections, it's 0, which I assume
Yeah.
that's not accurate. And there's a total blank under, a couple lines under for administrative homestead denials for sins, and that's
Oh,
out
yep.
for a 2025.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you. 14, building maintenance. This is one department that, goes undetected, a lot, but I can't give enough kudos to the current staff that we have here now. I know many of you guys are well aware, Brandon Abel, who was part of our ice arena and was able to keep that up and running, has now switched over to the lead building and grounds person for the entire municipality. We have hired Jacob, to be kind of his assistant that helps, and then Sean over at the ice arena. I mean, I can't speak for all the department heads that aren't here, but I mean, it has been a godsend. I mean, it really is amazing how quickly they are with the Q alerts, how quickly they're able to get out, and they're a jack of all trades.
No doubt.
There is so
doubt.
much stuff that they can
He's
get
not
done.
retiring, is he?
No, and I will
Okay,
not let
good.
him.
He's got too big of an ice bill.
Yes, he does.
This is true.
Mr. Vitale?
I live that life too, it's expensive,
I
so.
was just thinking.
Kids doing sports, so we are, I hope his kids continue to play many sports for a long
Oh,
time.
my God, yeah, it's great.
For sure.
But no, it's, and the budget, like I said, just pretty much tracks the stuff that they're doing, but no big changes. The next one is the attorneys. Same budget as last year, nothing changed. Communications is our next budget. You'll see in the communication budget. Now, I do want to say that they did have capital item in here, which was the TriCaster. The TriCaster got taken out of their budget. It's an IT item. The TriCaster is what we utilize to actually broadcast on all of our networks. As I kind of even put in here, our revenue has continued to track down for AT&T, WOW, and Comcast. Everybody's cutting the cord, but for those who do have it, we do have an obligation to make sure our videos are available. That TriCaster is extremely old. It is going to get replaced. It is not in their budget, but it is in the IT budget to be able to replace that. Outside of that, their budget is, for all intents and purposes, one of the big changes that you will see is just services. Services did go up. They are looking for a freelance crew, but then a lot of the big changes here are the ADA compliance. The audio eye is a new requirement, and the dock access. Now, with both of those ADA compliance issues, the state came out, had a mandate, hey, you've got to have these be compliant. And just probably 2 weeks ago, the state came out and said, all right, we're going to give you a 1-year extension on municipalities of 50,000 or more. If you're 50,000 and under, the state actually gave a 3-year additional extension to be able to become compliant. Ultimately, though, it'll still hit this budget year because it would have to be done by the following year. So we do plan on still instituting those ADA compliant issues as part of our website revision with the communications committee. I'm sure Ron
Yep.
has talked about
Yep.
this plenty of times.
No, it's needed, absolutely.
Mr. Karen, sorry.
Yeah, on that, so if you pull up a PDF on the website now, it has the accessibility tab already there. I was just looking at it last week. So how much, so like Civic Plus already did it.
So yes, some of that we've already worked through Civic Plus, some we haven't. So I know they're working on that currently.
Okay, because like some of them were, like, I pull up the budget document, it has that, and it basically just reformats it.
Yep.
Doesn't really change the layout, but I pull up like my Arboretum graphic, and it gives me verbal text of everything that's on the graphic without the graphic, so is there like a different type of PDFs that's not going through it? Because those seem to be like on the far extreme, and both of them went through the filter.
Just in the last
week.
Last 2 weeks, we just started working with Civic Plus, transferring us over with these new things. So it's almost like, I want to say a trial period, it's almost like the beginning phases with Civic Plus. So Civic Plus, we set all the stuff for the audio and the dock access, ADA compliance will go through Civic Plus. They're our only website provider, so we have to go through them.
And so there's gonna be an extra charge going forward?
Yes.
To do that?
To do that as
Okay.
part of theirs, yes.
All right, it just wasn't built into their platform.
It wasn't built on their platform,
Okay.
right? No.
But if I can just mention, they just did a redesign for us, and part of the redesign, they added some of that stuff in.
Yeah,
Right,
That's
so.
the requirement, because it was,
Right.
I mean, up until, just like I said, a couple weeks ago, it was actually required. So we were
Right.
going through with Civic Plus as part of a renovation, going through making sure that we hit all the new requirements.
And that was a no-charge redesign, I might add. So,
Yeah, I think they're required to do so many of those every
Yeah.
few years. But on that, I know like other government agencies that host their own site, it's a major struggle for them.
Yes.
To where it's one of the things with a company like Civic Plus or other ones that do multiple hundreds or municipal sites, right? They have one module bot, goes in there,
Does it.
it updates it for all of them, but
think
we're now
it's-
gonna get charged for it.
it's
for
licensed
that
software
mandate.
that you
Yeah.
have to overlay on the
Yeah,
stack.
yeah. Okay.
Mr. Rebello.
Dustin, in here, in case, unless I missed it somehow, the part-time assistant
Okay,
for the communications,
yep.
you got it on here as open.
It's temporary, so yeah, we have a temporary position. We've had Steve in the past, and I'm drawing a blank. Hannah
Hannah.
was, what is in there, helped out. Hannah has actually taken a full-time job. So congratulations to Hannah. She was very good. So we are looking to replace somebody with, another Hannah. I know Steve's looking at it, as well as, we do have a few freelance crews that's in the budget. This was in the budget last year. That goes out and helps do some of our large special events, weekends, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I
That
think
we're just-
that's an important position because of all the activity we do as a city and all the events and so forth. And, to me, large portion of, having a position like that is, it's getting the word out about St. Clair Shores and what we're doing and inviting people to come to our events and so forth. And that was a great position.
Hannah held the position very well. She did good, and obviously she'll be a replacement that we'll be looking to fill.
Okay. Thank you.
Aaron is awesome also.
Aaron's very good.
Mr. Vitale.
Some point in the last year, our communications director did express an interest in possibly running, what's the term? Non-copyrighted material in overnight hours, basically movies that are in the public domain, things like that. I don't know if he's mentioned any more about that to you, or if there's any more thought to that. I mean, I would favor something like that, just to keep our cable channel interesting. And another thought on that too is, I think we have some low-power FM that are on the city cell tower sites. I think years ago, going way back, we had Smile FM that is on one of our cell towers, or maybe multiples of our cell towers, basically a low-power FM. Is that still an ongoing venture, or?
I do not know. I would have to look that up and get back with you.
St. Clair Shores Radio.
And, yes, if not, or maybe we could look into the cost of what one of those low-power FM transmitters would be, because there's a lot of city events where, you know, we could maybe use something like that. Maybe social district or something like that, where we could tell people tune to this station, and I don't know, I'm all about anything that kind of gets, now that we're, so many people cutting the cord, anything that kind of gets us out there more. That's why I kind of pushed for us to be on YouTube, which is handy because I can send somebody a particular spot on YouTube to pick up the meeting from, which I couldn't do with our player that we had in the city. So that's been a good thing, but you know, as people cut the cable, I feel like there's less people watching us, so how do we take a countermeasure to that? Well, you know, one way might be to make the overnight cable channel interesting, so people are putting that into their thing to watch, and then maybe they occasionally accidentally catch a council meeting. Or maybe there's something we can do with low power FM. Just some thoughts.
IT
Next
fund
one's committee funds,
or IT fund?
or IT fund.
You're skipping way too far down.
We can skip all the way down to IT fund. No, I think it's committee funds.
Oh, that's in the middle.
Yep, 35.
Okay.
So this is a committee fund. This is a sheet that you guys are normally used to seeing up earlier. One thing I do want to bring up here is we're trying to get this completely organized. As you can kind of see, here is the budget that we're recommending, the 9,600 and the 3,000 for each of the budgets. That's the 53,400. You'll see that expense that we transfer that into the committee funds. Up above are the committee fee balances. We're still going through and making sure we look at them. I think we have them all pretty good now, but we are double checking some of these because we do have some expenses that, you know, we might not have hit. However, underneath these committee balances, some of these now, the committees aren't no longer in existence, and they're actually being funded by our general fund. Those are Aqua Freeze, which actually had a negative balance because we keep charging things that were there that should have been an expense through recreation. However, the same thing can be said with Farmers Market. Farmers Market, there is no more committee for. It does have a fund because we kept charging the revenue and some of the stuff to that account, but we were taking the expenses out of the recreation. So I would kind of ask council if we could take some of these and or move them back into the recreation, which would go back into the general fund. So the negative balance would go away, but then the 89 balance would subtract from that because it's going into the general fund, and just leave the balances that are left for the committees that are remaining. The other option that we could do is kind of just take the Aqua Freeze and the farmer's market and then say we have $73,000, and is there something that is beneficial for that fund balance that goes towards the markets that we could utilize? One of the things that I would say is, I mean, we use our showmobile for a lot of stuff. It's down at a lot of our farmers markets, it's at a lot of our social districts. Is there something in that we could say, hey, we could purchase and just get rid of this account? Or just add to the fund balance. So these are just ideas of what council would like to do, but the goal is to try to keep the committee balances that are actually serving and have an account, keep their accounts, move everything that should have been in the fund balance back to the fund balance.
So you're talking about another showmobile?
Just even repairing and
Repairing.
getting old. It does have
Ms.
some-
Rusi?
I mean, this might be a good topic for a study session.
Yeah.
Given, I think we need some more information, and, you know, I know I brought up the showmobile before. I mean, if we are renting out to these outside things that we're renting out for funds, we are putting more wear and tear on it. We should at least talk about making a fund for eventual repair and replacement that will be needed. That way we have the money to go into when that happens, but I don't know if we're equipped right now to make any sort of decisions. One quick question I have about how this is presented, I do want to thank administration for starting to separate this, because I think we've always thought about it kind of as separate entities, and it makes it a lot easier to actually have it separate. We have fireworks as a line item, Halloween as a line item, and then special activities committee. What does activities committee do that's besides concerts in the park that's not fireworks and Halloween?
I think it's predominantly just the concerts in the
So,
park.
I mean, why are we putting out fireworks and Halloween is separate from the activities committee when those are activities committee events?
I think in the past, they've tried to use the donations that came into the fireworks to be specifically used for the fireworks.
Yeah, and I like that, but it's a lot of money.
It is.
And that was kind of, we did talk to a lot of the committees, and the committee members or the special activity committee was very interested in finding out, like, at the revenue for Halloween, are we breaking even, are we making
Yeah,
money?
no, I
Where's
like
that?
looking at that, doing that deep dive to make sure the events are being profitable and, at least breaking even, et cetera, especially for sponsorships, and to make sure that money donated to the fireworks is going to the fireworks and not something else. But it just, look at these balances, it's just a lot of money for these, especially the special activities committee that now is just the concerts?
I don't know what's
Yeah, and the
historically
fire-
gone in there, but I know that over the past year, that looks like the
Yeah,
only
when
thing
this
that's
is
going in there.
all under the control of the committee, I'm not sure about breaking these out as separate. They're not separate committees, they're all under the activities committee.
They are, yes.
So why are they, I don't know if we should list them like they're separate committees on this type of thing. I agree with keeping the accounting for it separate, but but these are all under the activities committee. Also, community garden, it's called Cool Cities Community Garden. It used to be part of Cool Cities, now it's its own separate thing, so we shouldn't be calling it Cool Cities Community Garden because now it's completely
community
separate
Separate.
from that. But, yeah, no, I think maybe, some sort of study session on some of these committee-based issues, including once we get that ordinance done about funding the compensation for some of the members and things. Maybe we could all just put that under that because we'll have to do some discussion on how we want to move forward on those things, but, okay, thank you.
Mr. Karen?
Yeah, just to kind of summarize what your original ask was, is basically, so on this list, Aqua Freeze, Chamber Concerts, and Farmers Market don't actually belong to a committee of volunteers.
Correct.
In that, so, yeah, I think when we were going back and forth what to move or not, yeah, I'm not sure how that ended up getting moved out of events and
The only
over.
reason why it's on here is because this balance, see, this is as of June 30th, 2025, and it matches the audit.
Oh, okay,
And
all
that's, so I just, as a starting point.
So to really, in order to get
We would
an
have to do it.
audit compliant, need to really spend down the entire account and then just move that through events going forward.
And we could do either one way, spend it down, as you're mentioning, if we had something that we want to spend it down to, or
just leave
make
it.
it a budget amendment of transferring that
Transferring
into
it.
the general fund, which is where it's at now anyway.
Right,
So we
okay,
would have to just do one of two options, so we're audit compliant.
okay. And one of the other things, I don't know if other council members are in this, some of the committees that this affects are on that, but John has started to do like a monthly report for all the committees that, and it's split out. The ones that have treasurers that the committees monitor, and basically everything else is monitored by Parks and Rec. So I think that's one big improvement has really helped that we've had the last couple of months, because that way they actually know what their balance is at the end of each month. We're not waiting, we're not waiting for the Munis finance report to come out where they're trying to decipher where that is, and you didn't have the money that was being carried over as well, including on that. So that's been very helpful.
Good.
Thank you.
The activities committee has helped out chamber before. Maybe the chamber ought to be rolled into activities. We've helped them over the years and we've rolled that into the activities.
Just another concert series.
Totally, and we've helped over the years, so that might just roll that into there. Mr. Frederick?
I don't know if this is the right spot, but I don't know who all got called by Lil up here, but she wanted us to talk about irrigation. She needs some irrigation around, you probably know better than I do, but
No,
she's
I
talking
don't.
about, really?
Where's she wanted at now?
She wants
Now
it-
you know come on.
I know. So out front here, apparently.
11
and-
Mile.
And 11 Mile, and there's a whole litany, but Kip, what do you think, Kip? Is there
Well, I
something we
don't
can?
think it's under building these committees here. It might be under
No,
building
that-
maintenance.
that's
No,
under
but
build- yeah.
beautification comes up, so that's why I'm
Yeah,
jogging
but-
my memory. But can we make sure we at least take a look at that and see if there's a way to do some of it, or maybe
Yeah.
do a
So I can
Time.
tell you, we've met with Lil, we actually had, Jeff actually had his golf people out there doing soil samples at the 11-mile exit to find out what the soil was, why the trees were dying. We've also done some soil samples out here. We do have an irrigation system that is out here, it does work. But they do have access of where they feel that sometimes it's too much water, sometimes it's not enough water.
It's been all of those.
We've been working on it.
All right. So Brandon's on it, or who's on it?
Brandon, Tommy, Jeff, anybody that answers their phone is on it.
All right.
Yep.
Matt?
Mr. Rubello.
Dog Park Committee. Oh, I don't see it in here.
So Dog Park Committee doesn't have its own fund balance in that, it does just operate through
Do we
the
have-
Parks Department, it gets money for the dogs.
Is there any money that the Dog Park Committee can spend?
I mean, there's money that we put, I think, I have to look back at your parks budget, but I think there's like $5,000 or $10,000 in there that goes towards the dog park every year.
Okay. Can you, at some point in the next week, give me a balance on the Dog Park Committee and what we can
Not
spend?
really, they're just
Yeah, that's
funding,
fine.
so
Is there
yeah, just
something
check,
that-
yeah, call Rob, and Rob will be able to tell you
Rob,
what, yep.
Okay. The second thing is a request by the Parade Committee to reinstate the $9,000 back to the $9,600. So I told them that I would do that.
It's in there.
Done.
It's already in there, done.
Okay. And that would be it. Thank you.
Thank you. IT?
So yeah, IT is 44.
See, it's 9:06 already.
I thought it was 26. It looks like to me. Yeah.
Number again, sorry.
44.
44.
44. So you'll see IT is an internal charge, so the charge back in the rents, bring in approximately 1.2. The expenses this year are 1.2, it's break even, this has all of our expenses, what we spend on, a lot of this is through your managed way, all covered Q alerts, Intel, Barracuda, a lot of our computer software programs. You do see in here again, the BSNA upgrade. We do plan on transferring over, so we have a BSNA upgrade in the last one and also in this one. The goal is to roll that over and use the entire 200 to at least start the conversion for building, code enforcement, and also a portion through payroll. We won't be able to do all of finance because I think the total value is like 420,000 for the full conversion. But this is starting some of the trainings and everything. Like I said, I think we have training coming up in like May 19th with some of the staff. So the BSNA upgrades are slowly starting to happen. You do see the TriCaster in here under capital.
Yep.
Any questions?
Mr. Karen?
Yeah, in terms of any update from Nick on cybersecurity, you know, he was talking before, other changes that were going to need to happen, and
So some is the new multi-factor hardware tokens that
Okay.
you'll see in here. Once again, it's just upgrading how hard it is to kind of get in. The Mitel servers, there is some server upgrades that he's trying to do that'll also help beefing up our security. And I think that's pretty much what he's looking at right now.
okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
But the multi-factor hardware tokens are one of the big ones.
Big ones?
Yeah. I guess, you wanna go over the debt statements and pretty much 46 down?
Sure. So our debt is the same as last year, with the addition of the building debt that we just entered into back in October. So our first debt payment is this year. So that's included, that's Fund 315. The next tab after that is the police and fire operating millage, which I think we kind of talked about, where the money coming in is about $11.2 million. And then, and it shows how much the average wage and fringe per officer is, and then how many positions are funded by the millage, which is 68 in total. So it covers about 46% of the total police and fire budget, which is up from last year, obviously.
Mr. Karen?
I'm sorry, John, could you go back, just double check something on with the debt statement. So the Lake St. Clair Clean Water Initiative project, our payment is 1.568 million, right? But going back to way in the beginning under tab 1, it's listed that for the Lake St. Clair Clean Water Initiative, line item 380, we only have expenditures of 180,000, which, and that's not even the interest on that. So could you just, this front spreadsheet that has like, all the funds before and after and fund balances, that's always been problematic, of making sure all the numbers are right here because they're all manually entered. So it's just double check the number under 380 under that.
I know there's a
proposed fund balance page.
There's a portion going to the sanitary sewer fund too, so that could be the difference.
No, well, that'd be a really bad difference, because again, I'm only saying expenditures is 180,000, and I know we have a $1.5 million debt payment.
Yeah.
So take a look at that, because it's just important to make sure that fund balance number that we're tracking at the end is correct.
Right.
Because that's what we plan on funding storm sewer separations at some point.
Yes.
Okay, we'll do.
Okay, thank you.
And then the next tab is just, this is tab 48. This is just a summary, basically a regurgitation of what we've already seen. Revenue sources and where they come from in the general fund. It takes a look at the street funds, the utility fund, and then the expenditures, the same, the general fund, all the utility funds, and the street funds. And then there's a couple graphs showing revenue. Obviously, property taxes is our main source. Over 50% there, almost 53%, which is consistent with last year. And then the next tab is general fund expenditures, police and fire, over 50%, 51.5%. And this breakout is very similar to last year. Police and fire is actually up a little bit because of the new contracts.
And then I'll go.
Mr. Vitale.
This might be more of a assessing question, but I guess it also pertains to budget, because you did mention property taxes being 52% of our revenue. I've seen a calculation from years ago that said 96% of our revenue comes from residential taxes, which seems hard to believe. Is there a way to find out if that's true or accurate?
Yeah, that would not be accurate, but we can figure out the breakout.
That would be good to know. And it factors in because kind of when you're prioritizing, if it's 96% is not accurate, and I've long thought it probably isn't, what should we be dedicating towards our commercial districts and things like that? There's got to be more than 4% of our revenue there. So it would be good to know what percentage we bring in from our industrial district, from our commercial retail districts, and from residential.
So a breakdown from our taxes, how much is residential and how much is commercial? Is what you're
I
asking
guess
for?
commercial, I mean, the industrial will be so small.
Yeah, it'd be small.
I think we would be able to
probably
do,
group that in with retail.
and utilities too. We'd be able to look at residential, commercial, industrial, and utilities. I think we could break out those four, because that's how it's broken out on our tax module.
Okay, utilities meaning like DTE?
Yeah.
Land?
Consumers, yeah.
Okay.
So then the next tab is your admin. This is the fees that get charged back to each department and how that's calculated. And then 50 is a summary of our full-time positions. Nobody has changed. And then 51 is just an average tax bill. And then 52, we are working on, and we should have at least a 3-year forecast to you before we adopt.
Well, before June, or when you bring it.
June, yep.
Questions? Ms. Rusi?
Do we need to leave our budget books here for any update, or can we take them with us?
Take them with you, and then
Okay.
we will all add, because, I mean, most people have already written and destroyed and whatever, we will send the additions to this.
Okay, very good, thank you.
We have audience participation. Is anyone here? They have a 5-minute time limit to speak, say their piece.
Give commentary if you found it exciting.
I thought you did an excellent job. We appreciate it. I think it was a very smooth budget.
Thank you,
I know it's 4 hours, but I think it was.
Thank you, John.
It's nothing. I just want to, the last comment, of course, is when we talk about, hey, we need this position or this position, remember, we were only at $28,376. So adding positions are expensive, and the way the budget looks like, not affordable.
not
Just so we know. So with that, we'll take a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Support.
Moved by Mr. Kieran, supported by Mr. Frederick. All in favor? Aye. All opposed. Thank you. See this in June then and get that.